Hello, hello, hello. Cowboy 1, they are not midget printers. They are vertically challenged printers. And that's what we're working on tonight. How is everyone doing today? Because it is Saturday, it is the weekend, and we're going to keep wiring because wiring is a fun thing to do. Don't worry, I got stuff in the works that isn't wiring. This is just kind of to kill a Saturday or two while we wait for the slow boat from China to bring some stuff in. Because there is projects in the works. Printing 2.4 mods, no. Although, this guy does need an overhaul. So I probably will be doing a stream where I swap some stuff out on here because it still has the 2.4Z or the 2.2Z, and I now have the gears in to do the upgrade to the 2.4Z. Plus, I need to clipperize this because this guy's still running RepRap firmware, and I want to get input shaper on it because this is my workhorse, and I want to be able to push it faster. So I will be clipperizing this at one point. But right now we got this little guy to work on because I can't keep stalling the Intro to ABS series, and I need a printer for that. So where we left off last week, we had most of our X carriage wires run. We had our Y wires run, so now we're just hooking most stuff up to the board. We'll get the bed hooked up, whatnot. Got our power supply and whatnot. Now, the Postal Ferry was very good, and we now have some Pi as well. Oh, you are printing 2.4 mods. Oh, what mods are you printing? But Postal Ferry was good. We have some Pi, so I got another Pi Zero, which will probably be going in here because with the Pi Zero, I can power it directly off the SKR. And just to play around with, I got a 3A. So that's like the mini Pi. Honestly, if they can make what this has in this form factor, they'll sell like hotcakes, but they don't. Give me a quad core or dual core Pi Zero, guys. Come on. Hooking up the belted bed tonight. No, if you want to watch a belted printer, you have to go watch Joel's stream, because right now that's what he's doing. He's putting together the Creality CR30, I think it's called. So let's see here. So he's putting that together. I really want to see him print something that's not pre-sliced, because I have some. I have nothing against belt printers, but it's kind of like a Delta. I don't see it being the future. I see it as being more of a niche because of the way the belt works, and you have to print everything like on a 45. But I don't know if I can share a stream on a stream. But this is what Joel's doing right now. So he's showing that off with daughter, I guess. But they're building that. And so if you want belted printers, you got to go over there. But belted printers I don't think are the future. I think they have too many inherent problems. So, well, I'm looking at a printer that I made out of scrap parts. It totally doesn't have problems. Okay, so wiring. We're just going to roll right into continuing where we left off, and we'll go from there. So, grab a drink. I have my water. The fun stuff's after stream. And we're just going to keep wiring. And if stuff comes up, or people want me to answer questions, or any 3D printing things, you want me to look at anything, go over anything, tonight is whenever I'm doing wiring streams, it's an open forum, because distractions are always good, in my opinion. Hotend. Where do you make a live vid doing it? What? If you do make a live vid doing it. Oh. Now, I was going to actually tonight put together, because I have all the parts printed for Mobius 4. But that I was going to do, but I'm actually just going to do that tomorrow night. And I'm going to do a video on it, so there's an actual instructional video. So, I'll probably do that tomorrow night. I don't think I'll stream it. Well, I probably won't stream it. I'll just do a production, a proper tutorial video on it. So for those that don't know, the reason I'm building the Bonsai is, for one, I know this channel so far has been mostly Voron stuff, and it technically about half this printer was a Voron at some point. The rods, the controller board, some of the motors, even the extrusions, they were technically in a Voron at some point, but it's all scrap parts essentially. And I'm building it because I want a quote-unquote entry-level crappy printer, because I want to do a video or a video series on intro to ABS, because a lot of people have problems printing with ABS when they go to print their Voron parts, because we recommend ABS. So I kind of wanted something to use as an example, because if I try to do how to print ABS for dummies on a Voron, you can't really, you know, as I said before, it's like teaching somebody to drive on a Corvette. It's kind of, it's overkill, doesn't make sense. So for wiring, we have my good old trusty Engineer PA09 for my crimper. Any wire stripper will do. I just got a cheapo Home Depot special. It's not a ratcheting one, but I find you really don't want ratcheting. I do have a ratcheting one. Why are all my cameras off? Turn camera back on. There we go. So I do have a ratcheting one. And I think I bought this for like $3 on AliExpress way back in the day when I built my V1. If you're ever going to plan on doing any electronics other than your one build, get, you know, proper crimpers. Trust me. Squirrel hunting. I can squirrel hunting with a rocket launcher. I have stories that I can probably, I don't know if that would get, I would get flagged, but I have gone prairie dog hunting when I was in Alberta, and at one point we did run out of 22, and we did bring a coyote gun with us, and we never used it on coyote, put it that way. Farmers out there don't care as long as you can get rid of them, because all the cows break their legs in prairie dog holes, and that costs them a lot of money. And my room is a mess. keep telling myself one of these days I'm going to do like a studio tour or something like that video, or a stream where I just go through the room and explain what I got and everything. But I don't want to show my shame right now because it's kind of a mess. Although this time I don't think I actually have random pre-production Voron parts everywhere like I've done in the past. So I can show off the room, it's just a mess. I really don't like JSTs. Okay, one of these fans is my part fan, and one of them is a Hotend fan. And I don't know what I did. I'm pretty sure I broke my thumb at work, or at least like did a hairline fracture a couple weeks back, but I can't pinch. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure I have like a hairline fracture in the knuckle or something. But anytime I go to actually like pinch and put pressure on it, just gives out. Getting old sucks. Tim Proctor, 15. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream. For those that don't know, I say it anytime somebody donates, first one of the night. Anything donated to the stream goes either directly back into the stream or for purchasing stuff for projects. The camera you're watching the stream on, the Elgato Cam Link that I use, even the where did I put it? Bottle of blue that I used for that video where I showed you how to glue your linear rails so they look all fancy and whatnot. That was paid by donations. So current project right now, on top of the get a proper computer to do this on instead of a 10-year-old Xeon, I do have servos on the way. And the servos are for a project that I've been putting off for the past 3 years. Because back when I bought my Monoprice Select Mini, there was like, I'm going to do this one thing. And this is why I got into 3D printing. And it's been 3 years and I've never done it. So we're finally doing that project. So thank you and appreciate it. There's a cheaper iWis Cripper that I hear is just as good. If it's just as good, it's just as good. I know this one comes highly recommended. That's why I recommend it, and I haven't used any other ones other than the $3 Alley special, so I won't really comment. But if it's good, it's good. I tell people to buy a Chinese Hotend. You know, I'm the first to say if it's good and it's cheap, buy it. I broke the rules. Call the fun police. You know what's funny? I try not to I work in a tool shop, right? You know, I drop the occasional naughty word and F-bomb every now and then, but I try not to do it on stream because, you know, I don't know who's watching. I try to behave. But every now and then I will, and YouTube will flag that video. When I go, like when the stream finishes, I can look at like the monetization options and whatnot, and it'll be flagged. So if I accidentally drop one, I know that they'll pick it up. The algorithm or the robot or whatever will automatically pick it up and flag it. And then I got to request like somebody to watch the video to correct it. Good old YouTube and their algorithms. Speaking of algorithms, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, comment, like this video. Liking and commenting helps, I guess, because really it doesn't care what kind of interaction takes place as long as there's some sort of interaction. And ring that bell, I guess, and other things that PewDiePie says and other big YouTube people type. I don't know. Ratcheting crimpers have the advantage of a consistent crimp, not too tight, not too loose. Yes and no. I find with the ratcheting crimpers, I've destroyed way more crimps with ratcheting than with going by hand, because when you go by hand, you actually can kind of get a feel for it. That's more, depends on the type of crimp you're crimping to. I've had less issues with microfit 3s, for example. These are JST. I hate JST. But is what it is. That's what the board uses. And I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me desolder all the JSTs on this board and put on Molex KK. Because I have enough Molex KKs to do that. I'm just sure you guys don't want to watch that. I'm up so late that I actually catched your stream live, Burge TV. I'm assuming European time zone of some sort. But thank you for joining us tonight. Got everything ordered for my Voron a few days ago. Thanks for all the awesome stuff you put out and being a part of the community. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I hope your build goes well. As always, if you have any questions, join the Voron Discord if you haven't. The Voron Discord, I think we're coming up on like 9,000 members now. I have no idea how it's gotten so big. And disclosure, I'm just an admin and a helper monkey in the design team. I'm just a guy, but it has gotten so big over the past year. I think a lot of it had to do with everyone was stuck at home and they needed something to do, and everyone started building Vorons. But yeah, the Discord, there is so much information on there. Just search if you have a problem, or just ask in any of the specific channels, and somebody's bound to help you. From Denmark, building my V0. Nice. Where is MakerBeam? MakerBeam's from somewhere over there. Actually, I should check the MakerBeam. I gotta see this. So for those that don't know, the V0, tonight's gonna be a night of tangents. The V0 is designed, which V0? It's right there. Oh, mine's plugged in. Okay, never mind, it's plugged in. The V0 uses 1515 extrusions. It uses 1515 extrusions because it uses MGM7 rails. MGM7 rails don't fit on 2020, they fall through the gap, so we have to use 1515. It also makes it a smaller printer. So, we figured, hey, when RCF was designing it, we'll just use off-the-shelf maker beams because you buy a 200mm beam and you're good to go. The problem is, we completely overestimated MakerBeam's ability to supply the demand that we created somehow. So if you go to their website, they have updates from you can tell wrong way from back in when was the V0 launched? It was like February or April, I think. Oh, here you go. Oh, hey, that's my printer back before I rebuilt it. Yesterday, we had an influx of customers ordering 200 and 100mm maker beams. Usually means there's a project featured somewhere. Hey, it's the V0. We were surprised by the sudden influx of demand. We were out of stock. And then they spent... they had to buy a new machine. They had to go through and, scrap a whole bunch because they were just cutting it and they didn't realize, the 200mm needs to be bang on. So there was some variance there. So they ended up buying a new machine, and they had stock issues for a while. I'm pretty sure it's all fixed now. And now we kind of make it a habit that if we think there's going to be an issue with stock or supply of a component for a printer when we're designing something, we make it a point to try and reach out to manufacturers, simply saying, hey, you might want to keep an eye out. But yeah, back in May. So I haven't seen a Voron update since May. So I'm assuming they're all back to normal. Plus now there's the Chinese market has kind of jumped on it. So now you can get Chinese 1515, because at the time, China 1515, the profile did not match the kind we need. It wouldn't work. You'd have to buy their little proprietary T-nuts that sucked. But now there's MakerBeam, OpenBeam, Misumi 1515, and then there's China profile now. So it's a lot easier to get now. Did you ever get the V2 Dragon with the full heat break? No, I did not. I only have a V1 Dragon. I ordered mine back in March, and I think they swapped to the V2 just after I ordered it, but it didn't show up till June or July because COVID. So right now it's in the V0. I'm hoping I may be able to get my hands on another type of Hotend. I'm just waiting on contacts to reply. So I might be able to get my hands on something to try out and do a video on, but we'll see. It's basically just a Fadus. Maker Beams is Netherlands. Yeah. I knew they were somewhere over there. Yeah, LDO. Okay, so LDO makes good shit. Unfortunately, I live in Canada land, and our LDO supplier or importer, because I can order from the US, but it's just so much more money, it's not worth it. Which one's the bed? One of these is the bed. I'm assuming that's power in. Oh, that's extruder, so that's the bed. Okay. So the problem with LDO in Canada is, at the moment, we have one reseller, and they don't have anything in stock from LDO. So I have nothing of LDO. I know they make, they make the motors, they make the beds, they make extrusions. They make a lot of good shit. The problem is I can't get my hands on any of it. Tim Proctor, why is it so expensive? It just has to do with shipping and shipping, usually customs, and then exchange rate. We get screwed in Canada when it comes to that stuff. It sucks. I hate these kind of... I know why they use fiberglass insulation, because it's, exposed to high temperatures. But these are the worst wires to strip and crimp. And unfortunately, now, this machine is actually... I'm going really cheapy. This whole machine is 12 volt, okay? So I'm hoping I actually have the right Hotend in here. I know the fans I have are 12 volt, and the motors and everything will run on 12 volt, no problem. But the heater cartridge itself, I'm pretty sure is 12 volt, but I haven't bought anything 12 volt in a long time. So I found one heater cartridge that looked really cheap, and I'm pretty sure I bought it back when I was going to do a V6 conversion on my Monoprice Select Mini, and it's unlabeled. So I did the ohm test, and I'm pretty sure it is 12 volt. And I'm pretty sure that's the one I put in this thing. But that was like 8 months ago. So when we go to power this on for the first time, we might be powering it off real quick. But we'll see. Or I can just ohm test it again. Where are my... Oh, they're there. Ferrules. I ordered drone parts from a spot in Canada, and shipping is the exact same as in country. Shipping Canada to the US is usually nowhere near as bad. Plus, I'm pretty sure Printed Solid actually doesn't even ship to Canada. That's another problem we run into. We have a lot of stores in the US just won't ship to Canada. It is what it is. So I'm pretty sure Printed Solid doesn't ship to Canada. I remember looking a while back. The reason that is switch wire 2 and not switch wire 1 serial number is I had to wait on a bed from China because I was actually going to order a bed from Printed Solid now that I remember it, and they wouldn't ship from Canada, or they wouldn't ship to Canada. So... Daniel, the reason for that is I'm pretty sure AliExpress has a warehouse in Germany with a lot of the common stuff. So I'm assuming that would be kind of the same with BIQU. Like there is stuff on Amazon I can get, but usually that stuff is way overpriced. Okay. Oh, you got 2 mil. So if it wobbles, it wobbles. Mine wobbles. I'm waiting on the. I have the now spec one in the Palm anti-backlash nut for it on order. I'm just waiting for that to come in right now, and then I'll be swapping that on the V0. Because right now, if you watch the stream when I got it printing for the first time, she does have a minor case of the shakes. Nothing wrong with that, but it wobbles a bit. So we will be, I will be swapping that out in a bit. These are like 10, 15 bucks on Ali. Buy one. Good for all the little itty bitty bits you might need. Yeah, that's what I figured, Raymond. Fun fact, way back when I was testing my V0, the very first time I turned it on, I was feeding it 24 volts, and somehow I had a 12 volt cartridge in it. Because it wasn't it was actually labeled incorrectly. That's why I meter them now. Because that happened. I had a mislabeled 12 volt and a 24 volt system. Now, luckily, I believe the math is it pulls like, let me pull up the ohm calculator here. Later. Because if I did the math, I think it pulls like a stupid high amount of amps. Oh, I can't remember the amperage. Basically, it pulled so many amps it shorted. It basically blew the power supply, but it has an auto cutoff. So what happened was it basically just turned the printer off right away. So the printer would turn on, and then as soon as you go to tell it to heat up, it would just turn off, and that was the power supply saving itself from drawing like 100 amps or whatever the math works out to. Yeah, ratcheting crimper for ferrules is a little different. Like ferrules, it's just a tube you're crimping around a wire. You can buy kits like this, and by the way, never put just bare wire, never just strip a wire and put it in a crimp connector or a screw terminal like this. You should always put a ferrule on it. And you can buy kits like this, again, off Amazon for dirt cheap. Yeah, 4 times the amp. It's a lot. Well, it's enough that it'll be a problem. Okay, so we now have the every time I go to stream, I'm like, I'm going to fix the camera's colors before streaming. And then I always forget. There we go. There we go. So the hot end's wired up. So flip this on its side now. And let's do motors. So I made a little piece. Where did I lose that? Oh, there we go. So last week, for those that weren't here last week, I made this little adapter because I'm using an SKR Mini E3 V2. And for those that don't know, on the V2, it only has 4 motor hookups. So even though my Z motors will be tied together, I'm not using the Klipper magic because this only has 4 boards or 4 motors. I have to basically run the motors in parallel. So I made this little guy, which is just basically 3 JST connectors in parallel. So now I can just plug all 3, well, the 2 motors in one and then run one to the board just to make it look a little better. So I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'll probably just glue it on the side of this for all I care. But it's going to go right there. So I should have been smart and did DuPonts, because then I could just reuse these wires, but I did not. So I'll put that there and zip tie it, because zip ties are awesome. Now, for wiring motors, colors. As you can see, this uses what we got: green, gray, blue, red. On a, I don't think I have any. This one uses black, green, white. On an OMC, we have blue, red, green, black. Basically, you can't go off of the colors, okay? Whenever you're wiring up a NEMA motor, you can't go off of the colors, okay? So what you do is you just keep the order that the wires came in together, okay? So in this case, it's red, blue, gray, green. Just keep that order, okay? So when you go to crimp on a new connector, don't try and match the colors up to what you see in a pinout diagram or in a like the manual, for example, because we just use the colors that are standard on an OMC stepper. So don't assume that the colors mean anything. So the best way to do it is if they come with a pre-crimped connector, when you cut the connector off, just keep the connector there. And when you plug the wires into a new connector, just keep the order of the wires the same. And oh my God, the wires on this thing are tiny. These are like 28 gauge or something. I don't even know. These are the motors out of my Monoprice Select Mini. These were the X and Y motors, and I'm using them for Z. They're like, I don't know. I don't even know what size. They're not pancakes, but they're like 4 mil thicker than a pancake. But this thing doesn't, I'm not going to be pushing any speed out of this thing. This is a 30 millimeter a second printer probably. Although, yes, we are going to put Klipper on it and input shaper and see how fast we can go. Oh, these wires are tiny. I normally just cross the wires, so when I cannot move the shaft, then I know it's together. True, that is true. If you short the two wires, it basically locks the motor up. Even without power, it's something with magnets. How do they work? But yeah. See if it'll run at Voron speeds with input shaper. The motors in here are pretty weak. Like even though these are OMC steppers, I bought the cheapest ones because again, cheapo printer. I bought the cheapest steppers, and I'm pretty sure they can only take like 0.4 amp, and they're NEMA 17s. Like they're nothing in here is beefy. So. I might have to crimp these on the smaller setting. Okay. Oh, that's coming along good. So, for those that don't know, this is currently what's on the bed. So this has been printing, well, this is the, I still have a few parts left. I was hoping this one would actually be done by the time I went to stream. But unfortunately, I sliced it kind of not great, and a part fell off. Well, part of the support fell off. And it was still actually printing fine. The problem was, every time I went to go print that part of the support that wasn't there, it would just leave a stringy. And then when it would go back to print the actual part, it would leave this giant noodle hanging off. And it was on a visible part, and it looked like ass. So I just said screw it and canceled the print. and start it over. So that's why the printer is running right now. I normally don't like having the printer run during a stream, but it's not that loud to begin with. So, why is your Iron Man mask not in the red? Because I have a case of eSun ABS Plus in black, but I do have spray paint. So I will be hand working it, filling it, polishing it, sanding it. I want to try and get that that basically car finish on it. Although I probably won't do gold and black, or gold and red. I might do black and red. I might do the Voron colors. But yeah, so far I have. Where did I put everything? Oh. Top part, part, all the parts. But it all, this model, I haven't linked, okay, I have a Twitter, follow me at 3DPNero, but I have been posting stuff that I can't make a video out of, like little 10-15 second clips or pictures or whatever, on my Twitter. And I do have a link somewhere. Somebody asked for the files for this. So, because that's the problem, that's kind of why I never did the Iron Man mask. I was finding every model that I found on Thingiverse or any of the other sites, because I am crap at 3D modeling, kind of had issues. So, this one, Buddy actually posted on Reddit, I believe, and then he posted links to it. Let me pull it up here. It's this one here, and I kind of like it because, one, it's designed and has all the stuff for the servo, for the mask to actually actuate. And while it is a bunch of parts, they do have, it's going to be hard to see, but basically there are screw holes to screw everything together and locate everything together. So when I go to actually put it together, everything will kind of be in the proper position, because that's kind of the problem I had with my Boba Fett helmet. When I sliced it, I had no reference points for when I put it back together. And when you have, big chunks of ABS and you're trying to acetone weld them together, it's very easy for something to be slightly out of alignment, especially with stacked tolerances. So if something's out of alignment just a little bit, and then you put another thing on it, and that's out of alignment just a little bit, by the time you put two halves together, it could be out by a lot. So stacking tolerances is a thing. So that's means more work trying to blend everything, and that's kind of why my Boba Fett helmet or Mandalorian helmet's kind of been sitting to the side, because I don't want to sit down and sand for 8 hours and body fill. So I'm hoping this comes together a lot better. And I do have the servos on the way, Arduino Nano. It runs on batteries, just AAAs, I believe, or AA's. So. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I can actually, if I really wanted to, I can turn this printer on, and it would move. Because if, you know what? No, this is actually running Klipper. Shoot, I flashed this. I forgot this is the, I've used this in board before. But I'm pretty sure the SKR Mini comes with the firmware for basically an Ender 3 already on it. And for all intents and purposes, this is wired up exactly the same. Ooh. It looks like I may be, I'm running a little bit low on connectors. Crud. So I have 3 of these, and I need 3 more. I need 2 more for the motors. Well, I'll just DuPont them for now. Oh well. I'm currently building a Hevort style printer with 430 by 430 by 400, but with Marlin on a Panda Pi board with TMC 2209s, 220 volt bed, blah, 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 blah. That sounds beefcake. The thing with the Panda Pi, just general curiosity, why did you go with the Panda Pi? Like, nothing against it. I'm just curious. How come you're using the Panda Pi as your board? Redo the Z splitter with DuPonts? Yeah, but I'm not going to spend the time to go through and do it all over again. If I'd redo it, I'd do it with Molex KKs. That's what I should have did, but I wasn't thinking. Plus, it's kind of a pain in the butt to have mixed connectors. I'll just order another pack of these. Because I'm sure I'll be using JSTs on another SKR board at some point in the future. No biggie. This is one of those things I can get off Amazon Canada relatively cheap. Okay, oh, let me catch up. You just pull the JST plastic plug off the SKR, and a DuPont will fit. Yeah, that's true. Probably because it's faster and has more motor outputs and it's cheaper. Well, here's the thing with speed. Like, in terms of faster, you know, I run Klipper, right? With Klipper, I can get the same step rate out of ramps controllers that you can get out of a Duet. Like, what is it? A ramps, you can do 113,000 steps per second with a ramps with Klipper, because the MCU is only doing the actual just following the commands, right? Because it's the Raspberry Pi that's doing all the number crunching. And in terms of Raspberry Pi power needed, with Mainsail now, and you're not having to deal with the overhead from Octoprint, we're running them on Pi Zeros. And we're basically, we are not limited, we are limited by the mechanical ability of the printer and the ability to melt plastic fast enough, not the MCU. So... it directly controls the stepper driver with the Raspberry Pi and only the temperatures with 32-bit STM chip. Okay, so I'm not a huge technical nerd when it comes to like logic, and I'm not a software guy or a chip guy. I can't even find my zip tie. Yeah, there we go. But I do remember seeing those in the past. I remember when that first came up. I'm sure it works just fine. I've never got my hands on one, and you know, an SKR paired with a Raspberry Pi running ramps is already meeting every need we would ever need. So I'm not in a rush, put it that way. But it's 2 steps, not 1. It's kind of like, the thing is though, that's how like a CNC machine works, right? CNC machine usually have a controller telling stepper drivers to do everything independently. Oh, did I lose a wire? Oh, there's a green. Like, CNC machines aren't single board controllers for the most part. But they're a wholly different beast. Remember, 3D printers they're cheap, they're lightweight. In my opinion, you have to take price to performance into a big account with 3D printers because they're already at such a low price point to begin with. It's like people who put duets, like legit duets, in Ender 3s. You're spending more on the controller board than the printer itself, pretty much. Like for $400, you can just get a better printer. That one did not strip right. There we go. I have seen the Hevort though. I did watch a video on it. Nothing against it. It's a big printer for its print volume, but PandaPie can drive the motors in theory 1,000 times faster with the than with Klipper, but I think the drivers and steppers are the limit. So there is not much difference between Klipper. The thing is though, when it comes to driving the motors, it's like I watched that video where somebody with a Hevort was doing like 800 millimeters a second. The problem is it's not the speed of the printer. Like, you know, I can go all baller, buy a Haas and slap a V6 on a CNC machine that can do, you know, a meter a second travel. Okay. The thing is, we're at the limits of melting plastic. Like, every one of these printers here can move the hot end faster than you can reliably melt plastic. So being able to move even faster than that it's diminishing returns. So whenever you see like the videos of like super fast printing, it's usually at a really low layer height, and it's usually straight walls with no real details other than like a sharp turn, which, you know, Input Shaper can handle that no problem. Like I've done videos where I do have a video on my channel where I printed a benchy in 25 minutes, and it looks like ass because you're trying to take a solid plastic, melt it, and re-solidify it so quickly. We're running into material limits. And yeah, you know, you can get better cooling and different hot ends that have different melt zone sizes and whatnot, but you're always trading something off for another, essentially. Like, in my opinion, like the big things that are coming out of printing now are stuff like Input Shaper, where you're able to compensate and basically slap an accelerometer on your tool head and the printer will tune itself to cancel out any vibrations or and whatnot. So you can print at 5,000 acceleration and your printer will just print fine. It's just printing at 5,000 acceleration. It automatically compensates for the wobbles and whatever that you would get from printing at 5,000 Excel. So that's the future in 3D printing, in my opinion, is being able to basically just absolutely max out and get as much as you can out of the current hardware and limits we have. Because in case you haven't noticed, really not much has changed in 3D printing in the last little while. Like, I'm sorry, E3D is like completely in the Stone Age. They haven't come out with anything good since the V6, in my opinion. Slice came out with the Mosquito, which is a really good hot end, but then Fadus and Triangle Labs and all the other companies, they came out with cheaper versions that do pretty much the exact same thing but cheaper. And I'm a fan of cheap, so I say buy a Dragon. I really hate JSTs on these little wires. Stringing is a big problem with the large hot end. Yes, that's why I have a Volcano. I've never used it. Because I'd rather go with the style that the Triangle Labs or Mosquito uses of having a Magnum hot end. Now, here's the thing. Those hot ends don't actually work as good as a Volcano. You do get more out of Volcano in terms of output than a Magnum Mosquito, for example, but it has a lot less oozing issue and stringing issue. And I'd rather just go a little bit slower and have cleaner prints than spend the time after dealing with post-processing. E3D has been doing everything but replacing the V6. Correct. They've been trying to go on their Twitter right now, and they have a thing. Why is nobody buying our tool changer? And it's like, wow, it's like 2,400 pounds. So convert pounds to whatever your current country uses for currency. So it's 2,400 pounds. It's still in development. It's listed as a development tool, not a printer, right? So I'm going to be spending 2,400 pounds on a development tool that may or may not be done design-wise. So I have to, I got outdated parts, yay. And then you have to spend like another 1,000 pounds on all the upgrades it needs, like different extruders and hot ends and whatnot, because it only comes with like 2 or 3. And then on top of that, for the vast majority of people, it's absolutely bonkers overkill. Remember, for the majority of people who do 3D printing, a $200 Ender 3 is more than enough. Like, I have a printer that can do multi-material. I barely use it for multi-material. And that's my switch wire there with the Y splitter, because every form of multi-material has a downside. And in the tool changers, it's complexity and cost, and it's a lot of cost. If they want to sell that thing, they need to drop the price significantly and simplify the design a lot. E3D has been doing the V7. Honestly, if Sanjay went back in time with a dragon or a mosquito, about 2 to 3 years, that should have been what the V7 is. Okay, because that's pretty much really good for 2 to 3 years ago. Now it's just kind of, this is how it should be. I'm sorry, E3D, but I'm not impressed right now. I know you guys kind of got the ball rolling, but you've kind of dropped the ball lately. And then the Hemera, I think I seen a slide of their little presentation they did at VR EFF or whatever the virtual thing was, where they straight up admitted that they had like issues with the Hemera and the gears they chose. They used like basically they used the wrong metal in the gears, and that's why they were all failing and cracking, because they were running, for those in the machining world, you do not run metals that are exactly the same against each other, like wear pads or gears or whatever. They'll wear. Something will give. So they were using the wrong type of steel or the wrong heat treat process or something. It was a while ago when I seen the slide. And it was failing. Because I got a feeling they just kind of designed it and sent it to somebody to make, and they didn't actually have like proper engineering go over the design and go, hey, you guys should not be using this. Because if you look at a Bondtech BMG, they use a nylon gear and a metal gear, not 2 metal gears. And the crappy China clones use 2 metal gears, where the good China clones use a nylon and a metal gear. And there's a reason for that. So. But yeah, and I'm not a fan of heat sinking my hot end to a motor. That's another problem. Go. And now more zip ties. I used to have all these little zip ties, and I don't know where they went there. I got the Hemera. Awesome extruder, terrible hon. It's the same Hotend as a V6. Like, and then they teased a picture on their Twitter about their, I don't know. Do I follow E3D? I think I do. But they teased a picture on their Twitter, and I was just like, that's what you're coming out? This is your new hotness? Let's see here. Yeah, here it is. Why haven't you bought me? Why don't you love me? Please, somebody love me. I'm a good printer. Please buy me. I could have 20 Ender 3s for the cost of that. But yeah, this. So it's like, oh, what's that? It's a water block, because there's your water connection, and that looks like a heater cartridge slash heater block all in one. So it's kind of like the what's that circular one you can use on a V6? Maxi watt. So it looks like it's a maxi watt attached to a water block, which I don't want water flying around at 300 millimeters a second, and it's with a Chinese fitting above my high voltage electronics in my 3D printer, because I can cool it just fine with air for any material up to nylon. Why do I need water? That just added weight, complexity, and you're asking somebody to electrocute themselves. So, yeah, I'm not impressed with this. And then, see, you know what this is? This is one nozzle crash away from bending your titanium heat break. That's what this is. Because if you touch your nozzle off the bed while you're doing an X and Y movement, this is going to put a lot of force on that heat break, and it's going to snap. So the reliable tool versus the tool that'll break if you touch the bed with it. Come on, E3D, get your shit together. Honestly, the thing is with the cooling, you don't need anything great. Like, look at what the Dragon has or the Mosquito. That setup is super efficient, and it works great. It's compact. Like, you only really need a 30 millimeter fan, and even in an enclosed chamber, that's enough to keep it cold. So why are you trying to fuss with water? You're not gonna get much out of it. Like, the only time water makes any sense for a Hotend in a 3D printer is if you are running it in, you're printing peak, and you're basically printing in an oven, okay? Beyond that, I'm sorry, but it doesn't really make much sense to go with water. Plus, I don't trust water lines to be able to move around as fast as my Hotend with the fittings and not, eventually wear away or fail or something. I can just see it being a problem. Come on, I know I have some wires somewhere. No. Oh wait, I do right here. Like I was looking at, because I keep the spare wire whenever I trim the wires off a motor, and I'm like, I thought I had some left over. I'm like, I will in a minute. Give me a second. Printing high temp in enclosed environment. The team has ever done water cooling? Yeah. Built-in fire suppression? Yeah. It'll put out the fire from shorting itself out from the water. You gotta remember that too, E3D, the majority of their sales are OEM. They sell more to pre-built printer manufacturers than they do to you know, Joe Blow off the street buying a V6 for their, you know, their Hevo. But in terms of air cooling, heated chamber, I get 56. I've pushed this thing as high as 60 Celsius inside. Printing, I think that was when I tried nylon, and I had zero issues keeping my Hotend cool. Now it's a mosquito, but that was with at the time was a 20 millimeter thick, 40 millimeter wide fan, a Sun-On server grade fan. That thing pushes a crap ton of air. So just go with a server grade fan. You'll have plenty of air. And it's not like you need to cool it down to ambient. You just need to cool it to the point where you're not having heat creep issues, which isn't that hard, really. That's my Z right there. Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. Where are my pliers? Yeah, even distilled water, and it won't be distilled once it's, you know, sloshing all over your printer bed. Remember, with all this new fancy stuff with printers, you have to look at what the competition is. Again, E3D, and why will nobody buy our $2,000 printer? Because people buy a $200 China printer. And that's what the majority of people need. Like, heck, most people are still afraid to print with ABS. Like, I legit believe that the Voron community is, like, responsible for the majority of ABS sales in most for most filament manufacturers. Try to pull this off without breaking it. This would have been easier if I'd done this before mounting the board on. Come on. No, I'm just breaking it. You know what? I'll just pop it off quick. Monitor. Battery. So that is X. That is extruder. Fan. Fan. That is X stop. Label that. That is a thermistor. Okay. I'd rather print in ABS than PET. PLA is good for, you know, knick-knack stuff. You know, I got the T-Rex skull here. This guy is PLA. So, like, PLA does have its uses, but yeah, this guy's PLA. So, you know, stuff like this that just kind of sits on your desk and just kind of looks cool is good in PLA. PLA, you can do really crisp, clean lines, right? But that doesn't mean you need to use PLA. I really wish this guy wasn't broken. This guy, you know, is ABS. And this is crappy Sunlu ABS. This isn't even ABS Plus. And my son got a hold of it. So the wings are broken off. But this thing had a 3-foot wingspan. But all those spines, that's all ABS. And the thing with ABS, is you can acetone weld it. So you just put acetone on each side and stick it together, and it just melds together. So you can do really good with ABS. And another reason I like ABS, and for example, the helmet I'm making right now, the Iron Man helmet, is ABS. But this was a failed part, okay? And it failed because I sliced it wrong. So this is ABS. You want give in your part sometimes. So this is thin ABS. I can sit here and flex this for quite a while before it'll break, okay? But it's still strong. Like, this is impact resistant strong, right? It's ABS. But it returns to its original shape, okay? Now this is sliced in a way and it's a thin part, so we'll do this, but like all my Voron parts are, this is ABS as well. This doesn't flex because it's sliced and it's designed in a way. But ABS has a little bit of spring to it, and you kind of want that sometimes. PLA, if this was PLA and you do this, it'll snap on you. PETG it's water bottles. Outside of 3D printing, nobody uses PET for anything structural. What do you think about the BTT X Mot 1? I'm going to try and use that with GTR mainsail. So, is that the expansion, the little expansion board thingy there, Tim? What was I doing? I was taking that off. Oh, I missed one. Chris Engel, $5. Thanks for your time and thoughts. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. Because if the, I'm assuming the expansion motor V1.0, kind of funny, but I basically have that in this guy right here on my Duet. Don't think I have a picture on this computer, but all it is it's tying in and giving you some extra motors. And I have that on this guy. So it will save you from having to buy another MCU, because the GTR only has 6, I believe, motors. So it will save you from having to buy another MCU. But you do lose all the extra hookups that it would come from having, you know, dual SKRs, for example. Building my Voron mostly because I want a nice looking enclosed printer. Yes, all Vorons are designed to be enclosed, or at least have the capability to be enclosed by themselves. So you don't need to go buy a lax thing. You don't need to go buy a lax shelf. Wow, these really don't want to come off. Come on. I did this to a ramps and I cracked the board, so I'm taking my time here. There we go. This is my pliers. DIY quads. Yeah, DIY quads. It's funny, I bought a quad like 2 years ago. And I was gonna, you know, put it together and do everything. I had the helmet, I had the controller and everything. And then by the time it showed up, I got busy with something else, and then winter came and it's been sitting in its box for like 2 years. I bought 20 ABS spools on Hobby King for $4 each 4 years ago. Print's still nice, and you can leave it outside in a dry box. Yep. Depends a lot on your climate. ABS will suck up water eventually, but as long as you're not, you know, living in the rainforest, it should be fine. And you can always, you know, dry it out if you really need to. Come on. I'm trying to pop the fitting off. It won't come. All the builds using high temp have the electronics outside the case as well as the control board. Yeah, like all the Vorons, there is no electronics in the chamber other than the motors. But we do have the, your bed itself is a high voltage bed. Kinovo heating mat. And then on the V2 and the switch wire, there we go. Your power supply and your controllers are in the bottom compartment. On a V1 and the V0, they're on the back. And that's simply because that's where the room is. Okay, this one comes off a lot easy. Okay, there we go. And you said it just pops right on, eh? Oh, there we go, yeah. So I'll just use DuPont's for those. Okay, that'll work. It would be interesting to do some crash tests with PETG and ABS. Well, put it this way. I know a lot of people that printed Vorons in PETG back in the day. And I've seen a lot of those parts fail. PETG cracks as well. ABS will crack too, don't get me wrong. I've cracked some ABS parts myself. ABS will crack. But the way PETG fail cracks, like it'll just, the whole part will shear. And it's, I don't know, like my V1 was originally in PETG and then I reprinted all the parts in ABS and it printed better once it had ABS parts. So yeah, I just don't like PETG for printer parts, at least anything structural. Now, granted, if that's all you can print is PETG, yeah, you can build a Voron in PETG, but the first thing you should be printing out of it is a calibration cube, a few other test pieces, and then going straight to printing ABS parts to replace all the PETG parts, because they will eventually fail. They make car bumpers from ABS and ASA for a reason. No, they do not. They make car bumpers out of steel. The fascia, which is the plastic part that's in front of the bumper, is usually some form of ABS or PCABS or TPO. Usually not TPO, actually. It's usually a form of ABS. Usually ABS PC or ABS with some other blend. I should know I make those tools for a living. But yes, but I've yet to see a tool that makes a car part that makes car parts out of any form of PET. I've seen PC, PCABS, Polypro, TPU, flexible vinyl, glass-filled nylon, glass-filled Polypro, polypropylene by itself, ABS blended with everything you can think of. I've yet to see anything made for a car made out of PET. Yes, and another thing with ABS, or PET, I mean, is with ABS, you have your temperature, right? Eventually it gets to the point where it'll fail, right? Same thing with PET. But the thing is, with ABS, you pretty much have the majority of your strength the whole way until you reach that fail point. Whereas PET and PETG, it won't just fail at its fail point, it'll start to get weaker and weaker the closer it gets to that fail point. So you get droop, you get, parts start to sag and give out. A good example of this is back in the V1 days, the bed mounts for the V1 were printed, okay? So the parts, and you can see this on the V0, with the way the V0 bed has the springs and they compress there. And I talked to plenty of people because they're on the Discord, they've been around that long, where they had those parts were printed out of PETG. And what happened was the over time with the heat from the bed and whatnot, and just the ambient temperatures, it weakened the PETG, and the springs started pulling right through the parts because every time it got warm, the parts would just kind of squish a little bit. So yeah, they make car bumpers. It only fails because of the UV, though. It doesn't... Okay, so ASA is basically just ABS that's formulated to resist UV, but they do have ABS in external car parts because they paint them now. But they do have blends of ABS that are more resistant to UV now, too. Honda Element. Yeah, you'll find ABS PC everywhere in a car nowadays. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of money spent in plastic development, trust me. Okay, so we can kind of get back on this. Okay. So this is Z Motors. So that's going to go to about there. Oh, James Ramsier? $10. Awesome videos. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. Thanks for the donation. You guys are awesome. So what are we at right now? We got 46 viewers. 44 viewers. I know it's not as exciting as the Voron builds. When I get the Voron builds, I get like 70 to 100 people watching. Well, these could be exciting too. Wonder what you thought about CNC kitchen videos from the FDM baked and powdered salt. If you had a chance to see it, I glimpsed at it. So the reason those parts get stronger is you're basically melting everything and re-solidifying it. It's basically like an injection molded part where it's one uniform flow of plastic through the whole thing, and that's why it's better. Plus, you know, some plastics benefit from annealing, which that can also take part there. But the thing is, I don't view it as like a practical thing for the home gamer. Like, I'm not going to be printing my Voron parts and then putting them in salt and doing the melting thing that he did. But yeah, that's basically what it is. You're basically melting it down to liquid or near a liquid where it's, you know, back to that melting point, and then it's re-solidifying in the final shape that the powdered salt holds. At least from the quick like snippet of the video I watched, that's what it looked like. I just went through it quickly there. But that's what it looks like. You're basically turning it into a single part instead of layers. Because that's the problem with FDM is you have layer lines. It's like grain and wood, right? You have to print your parts and design your parts for strength across layer lines. And that's kind of one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of belted printers, like the CR30. Because I believe you're going to have a lot of growing pains with it at first. Because people are going to try and print stuff on there that wasn't designed, at least structural stuff, that wasn't designed with a 45-degree Z in mind, right? Like, let me grab a part here in a second. Let me grab a random Voron part, because I'm pretty sure I have a box of them somewhere. My Voron parts. There are my Voron parts. Okay. So, belt printers. Electroplatable ABS with ASA. Or you could just spray it with paint or not keep it outside. The UV usually just, for the most part, it just fades it. It does weaken it a little bit, but not a massive amount. So, belt printers, okay? This is the A or B motor mount for a V2.4, okay? Let me go to the other camera here. So, this is the part. It's designed to be printed flat on your bed, like so, okay? So, your layer lines go this way, so the part will be strongest in this direction, okay? Because it's one homogeneous layer of plastic all the way through, right? So, for example, these towers here, okay? I won't be able to bend them in half, but I can, if I push them this way, they'll fail, okay? So it's stronger in this direction than this direction, because in this direction, it's only your layer adhesion holding it together, where in this direction, you have solid layers of plastic so it's stronger. Now the problem with the belt printer, if I were to print this part on a CR30, my layers would be on a 45, okay? So if I were to take this piece and bend it, okay, like bend it, there'd be layers like this, and I guarantee you they would just snap, because then you only have, you know, a 4mm right here. Look up, this part right here will snap right there, and this whole part will snap right in half if this was printed on a belt printer. That's kind of why I'm not super enthused for belt printers, because if you're trying to print off parts like this that were designed with traditional FDM in mind, you would run into issues. I don't even know how you would design this part to print on a belt printer and solve that layer adhesion issue, because then you're solely relying on layer adhesion through thin walled parts to hold everything together. So that's kind of my problem. Is he on to printing a benchy? Let me load his stream back up there. And you also have to remember, you know, oh come on, I have to have a benchy somewhere. Do I not have a benchy? I have a habit of just throwing them out because I have so many of them. Okay, so you know the benchy, you got the bow of the benchy, right? Well, the problem is with the bow of the benchy, you can't print that first because you'd be printing in air on a belt printer, okay? So, yeah, let's see here. I don't know if Twitch has rules against this. I'm sorry, Joel. Please don't copyright flag me. But, focus. Yeah, so see, the back of the benchy has to be flat there because it's kind of like, it's printing there and it's kind of has to build up like this. So if you had a massive overhang, like look at that overhang, that is a horrible benchy. And then look at how the belt's stitched together there. That's going to be great for your finish. I am not impressed. I am not impressed at all. Like, yeah. I am not impressed. I don't have the audio on. But yeah, look at that overhang. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm not impressed with that thing yet. Always keep a box of Voron parts. You never know. Okay, good example. If I wanted to print this on a CR30, okay, in this direction, how would it print this part here? Because it would be printing, it would have to stop printing here and then start printing there in the air. It wouldn't be able to print this without support. You would have to print it like that. But then you have overhang back here. So any part that has an overhang in the negative Z or whatever the bed orientation is called out for would have an issue. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with that printer. Oh, by the glue stick? Oh, there is a benchy. Okay. So yeah, so if you're printing a benchy like this, it wouldn't be able to print this part because it would basically be printing in air. What happened to building the new extruder? I will be building that on a separate video. I'm going to actually just do an instructional on how to put that together probably tomorrow night, and I'll upload it Monday. So for those that don't know, I work Monday to Friday, steady afternoons. My wife works days, and I have a 2.5-year-old son. So pretty much during the entire week, I can't really do anything that would, I have a 2.5-year-old. I can't have him in here while I'm recording videos because he likes to get into everything. So I can't really record videos during the week, so I have to do it all on the weekend. Saturday's stream, so Sunday night is usually when I do the record a tutorial video or something, and then I'll upload it Monday. So odds are, I got all the parts for it right here. I just need, the 20 minutes to record a video of me putting it together and then the half hour to edit it because it always takes long to edit. But yeah. Then of our hi Nero, hello. Okay, back to wiring. So we're gonna have blue, red, green, black. Okay, and then lastly we have our Z motor here. Trying to feed it through a zip tie I got back here. There we go. So I gotta find my DuPont connector kit now. There it is. I guess you could have an angled raft on everything. Yeah, see that's the thing. It's just adding another step. Belt printers, I could see. You know, if you know CR10s were out or whatever belt printer, black belt or whatever, were out back in April when everyone was printing those COVID behind the head band thingies there. It would probably be great for that. Like for that, it makes sense. But I remember back when belt printer sort of came about, we had the discussion with the Voron crew there. That'd be great for PIF because then you could just load an STL that has all the Voron parts, and you could just let it run with a box right at the edge of your printer, and it would just spit out all the parts. Okay. But then we kind of realized, how the hell is it going to print all these parts and then our layer adhesion issue and whatnot? And we realized, you know what? It's actually not that good of a design for that kind of thing. Yeah, it has downsides. Francisco 50, appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. Thank you. Thank you. I saw a guy that has an IDEX printer with 4 heads print those. See, that kind of makes sense, right? Because you can gang them up. It's the same object again and again and again and again and again. That kind of makes sense for those kind of printers, right? Or if you're printing hooks or brackets or that kind of stuff, then yeah, that it makes sense for. But again, you have to have a use case that would benefit from it, not just kid who's just getting into 3D printing and wants to make random items. I don't see will be the market for belt printers. Smash that like button. Yes, smash the like, ring the bell, subscribe. I have a Twitter. It's at 3DP Nero. I think I have like 80 subscribers now. Let's try and make it 100. Other algorithm liking metrics. Comment. I don't know. Share this video. I'm shilling. Look at me, Daddy. I'm shilling. By the way, guys, I do apologize, and you can clip this or whatever. But if I ever do get an offer from Raid Shadow Legends to hawk that shitty video game for money, I am so going to do that. And you will. I'm sorry. I apologize for if you ever join a stream and I have to sit there for 5 minutes and explain how I love the game. But apparently, those Chinese gacha games, they pay a crap ton to people to pimp their product, and I am shameless, and I will do it. I apologize in advance. So. Yes, there are 48 people here and only 20 likes. I did pass grade 2 math. That does not add up. Make it add up, guys. There's almost 9,000 people on the Voron Discord. Why aren't you all here right now? Oh wait, this isn't a Voron. I can't post it there. I hate DuPont connectors because they got that they crimp side by side. They don't crimp directly onto each other for the part that crimps onto the wire, and I never get it to line up, so they always end up mangled. Did you stick with the Taco Raven for Tallboy? Yes, Taco Raven is still in the Tallboy. It's been fine so far. But if I do ever get another controller board to test out or whatever, it will be going and replacing the Taco Raven. Simply for the fact the Taco Raven is 2130s. And that is, in my opinion, a little outdated now. So I would like to get some 2209s or something else in there. But it's perfectly functional. So I won't be swapping out the Taco anytime soon. Unless the mythical version 2 comes out. Ping at channel. I have no idea what that means. I don't internet. I'm on like 200 groups and 40 discords. I think I'm on like 6 discords. And that's like 3 of them, 4 of them are 3D printing. Actually, pretty much all 3D printing related. Like, I didn't join Discord until we set up the Voron Discord. And we only set up the Voron Discord because Slack, which is what we had before. For any of those, anyone here from who was around during Slack days, throw a 1 in chat. I wonder how many people are still around from back then. But basically, Slack would like delete all the content after like 4 days or something because it was going by too quick. So we moved to Discord. Azen Cowboy 1, homebrew printers need love too. Rage Shadow Legend. Yes, Rage Shadow Legend, $50. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hopefully, honestly, the donations are going towards the computer upgrade for the stream. So I'm hoping to be able to actually do like CAD and stuff on stream. Because, again, right now, for those that don't know, I have an X5450 Xeon powered machine running the stream right now. And it works, but oh my god, is it old. I'm just waiting on Black Friday sales. I have what I probably will be buying priced out. It's an AMD Ryzen 3 3100, 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, whatever's cheap, and a motherboard because I'm going to reuse the video card I got right now in Power Supply because those are still good. I'm just waiting on Black Friday sales, essentially, because save money. I don't need that wire. So yeah, so we're waiting on that. And then, of course, you know, other random stuff I need to buy for projects, like servos. Lots of Voron info here. Yes. Yes, the main sale. Join the main sale Discord. There is a main sale Discord. I don't have a link for it on hand, but you just join that. I'm sure somebody, Ray, will drop that. But there is a main sale Discord because main sale is not for Vorons. It's for all 3D printers. It just happened to be made by a bunch of Voron guys. Have you tested the aramid filled carbon fiber belts on Voron? No. All the printers I have are running Triangle Labs Gates belts, except for Switchwire, or I'm sorry, not Switchwire, V0. It is running the Pouch brand belts. And this guy is running, I think, Garbo brand belts because Garbo printer. But yeah. Yeah, Slack is bad for mobile. If you linked it there, Ray, I don't see it, so it might be an issue with, yeah, YouTube. I might, let me see, it might be a setting. It might be a setting that I have to, like, I know a lot of times it doesn't let you link stuff, and I you know what, I don't think I can turn that on. Okay. Now, do I be lazy and reuse these crappy wires? Yes. Yes, I will be. So this is Y end stop. So feed that through here. That goes there. That goes there. Cut that. These away before I lose them. Yeah, there's a link for it in the Voron Discord. Join the Voron Discord. I'm pretty sure everyone here is a Voron builder. That is one metric I don't have. Is by chance, is there anyone watching this stream that found me through just YouTube? Or is everyone here pretty much from the Voron Discord or the 3D printing Discord? Because that is something I'm actually curious about. Would be kind of interesting to see, because I can't get that metric from YouTube. Like, all it tells me is 99.8% of people who watch me are male. So it is a total sausage fest. Found on YouTube. Wow, that, you know what? Thank you guys. I appreciate that. That is surprising. Also in Discord, but didn't find the channel there. My bank account hates you. Hey, man. Somebody has to test all this stuff. My bank account really hates me, too. Like, think about it. This guy right here has been every version of the V2. V0, including all the development. I still have, like, 6mm rods and motors that were never even put in this thing that we bought for that thing. Switch wire, I didn't need switch wire. I built it because I wanted to build a switch wire. And then I have Tallboy, which is a bigger V2, which is built out of my V1 because my V1 was too big to be a V1. Plus, I have like parts and stuff that were bought for printers that were never put into printers because we changed the design before stuff showed up. So, believe me, everyone here's wallet hates them. The one with the doggo, yes. You know what? It's sad because he used to come down and hang outside the door when I was down here making videos. But I stream late, so my wife goes to bed, and then he goes to bed. He's up in the room right now, so I would bring him in here, but he's upstairs probably sleeping right now. He's a good boy. I see you don't have a 1.8. Yes, I don't have a 1.8. I had a V1. It was a V1.5. And then I converted it to a V2 because it was way too big to be a V1.5 because I started with a monoprice Select Mini, and then I was like, you know what, this isn't big enough. I'm going to build a bigger printer. And like everyone does, they want to build big. So I built a big V1. It was 300 by 300 by 400. And all that weight up top, it printed fine, but, you know, modern Voron speeds would shake it apart. So I converted it to a V2, and now it's Tallboy. There we go. And now we have to wire up. What do we got here? We got the bed. So yeah, so I don't have a V1, unfortunately. I would like to build a V1 on stream. The thing is, for building the V1 on stream, if you want to see how to build a V1, it's a V... The Z is honestly relatively simple. The electronics are the electronics like any Voron, and the gantry is a V2 gantry. So for building the gantry on a V1, you could just watch my videos where I built my V2 gantry. It's 90% the same, just different mounting to the frame. The Z is not much to it. And then the electronics are pretty much like V2 electronics, only one controller board instead of two. So building a V1 is relatively simple. It's like switch wire. I'd have to take apart the switch wire to put the stream together for it. And I probably will do a stream on the switch wire, but I won't be building one on stream because it's honestly a very simple build. It would take me more time to take it apart probably than to put it back together. It's a very simple build because it's basically just a gantry and then a belted Y. So it's a very simple build. Has anyone made a Voron with metal parts? To my knowledge, no. I think a few people have printed brackets in the past for some of the components, or done metal brackets for some of the components, but nobody has done an actual full build. And honestly, I don't think you'll get too much of a benefit. Now, one, a lot of the parts would have to be re-engineered to be made out of metal, for like machining and whatnot. So I don't think it's something you can, just do on a drill press. You would need like actual CNC or really good Bridgeport skills. But I don't think you'll get too much of a benefit because like go to the Discord, join or look at the section with prints and compare print quality of all the Vorons, and that's with plastic parts. And do you really think you'll get much more or much of an improvement going to metal? I don't think so. Okay, so looking at my crappy bed here. Oh, they have, okay. Okay, so that is the bed. Okay, let me put another zip tie on this. Yes, the Mainsail Discord is the official Discord for Mainsail OS. So if you see another Mainsail Discord, it's not official. It's kind of like the Klipper Discord. For those that don't know, the Klipper Discord is no way official. Kevin, the creator of Klipper, doesn't endorse it. It's completely unofficial. So I don't go there for other reasons, but I don't go to that Discord. Whereas the Mainsail Discord is official and endorsed by the creators of Mainsail. Or did you ever think about producing some Voron parts with injection molding? Again, a lot of the parts would be designed. In fact, every single part, because certain things, yeah. Okay. You know what? This part right here, the AB motor mount, you would have to put draft on it for ejection. But this part probably could be made on an injection mold, not too bad. Some parts like this though, like this is one of your Hotend mounts for the carriage. Let's see. So that would be slide. That would have to come in. Yeah, you would... Designing a mold to shoot a part like this would have a lot of complicated machinery. It'd be better off redesigning pretty much every part for injection molding, because injection molding, you have issues with draft, undercuts, you have to have slides, ejection, lifters, stuff has to move in different orders of operation. Tools aren't cheap. I'll try to remember, but I actually have an injection mold in my garage. I built it in shop class like 4 years ago when I was doing my apprenticeship. And it makes a quote-unquote phone case. It's not really a phone case, it's just meant to be a phone case. And all it is basically an oval, it's a phone case with a little hole in the bottom for your headphone jack. And it's about this big by this big by this big, and it weighs 75 pounds. And it took me 3 months of 3 hours once a week in shop making it. And you would need a press to run it and whatnot. For the amount of Voron out there, it would not be cost effective to print or to make a mold for the parts. And there's a lot of parts, so there'd be a lot of molds. Yeah, draft angle. So an injection mold, right? You think about it. It shoots the part, okay? So say the part's like this, okay? And it shoots it, right? You would have a cavity half that'd be flat, and then you'd have basically a negative of this in the steel. And what happens is you shoot the part and the tool opens, and then you would have ejector pins or lifters, depending on like the design of the part, that would basically pop the part off. But the problem is you have to have the part can't be straight. Because if you have straight wall on the part, when it goes to eject out, one, it's going to rub and it's going to score it all up and cause issues there. But two, it acts like suction. So what'll happen is the part will kind of suck in there, and you can actually, suction can be so much that the pins can push through the plastic depending on how thick the plastic is. So you actually need to have draft, okay, so that when the part goes to eject, as soon as it moves a little bit, it breaks contact completely and air can get underneath and then the part can pop out, okay? Brian B, $139.99, get some Timbits for the kiddo and a double for yourself. Thank you, man, appreciate it. It's a little late for Timmy's. The one near me closes in 14 minutes, unfortunately, because COVID. Personally, I like McDonald's coffees now. But thank you, man. Appreciate it. I will put that to good use. I probably actually will be looking at getting that new computer relatively soon now. But thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me scroll up there. Chips and Coke. I have some Wisers that I'll be enjoying after stream. The joke with Tim Hortons is, yes, Canadians Tim Hortons, but all Canadians actually kind of hate Tim Hortons now. It's kind of gone to shit. We'll still drink it religiously because it's everywhere, but Tim Hortons has gone downhill over the last little while. Like when I was a kid, they used to have a bakery and a baker that would bake your donuts fresh. Now they're all frozen and the coffee's garbage and yeah. Let me see here. Let me catch up on the chat there. Before we start a series on building a Prusa Mark III compatible with cast metal. That's the thing. It's a lot of work per component. So, holy shit, Nero, I fell asleep waiting for the stream. It said starts in 30 minutes and here I am now. Well, you're here now. Welcome. Don't worry, the VOD will be up. And, ooh. I'm done my playlist. Let's go with Daily Mix. Yep, international brands. When they bought out, so originally Tim Hortons I think was bought out by Wendy's for a while there. So Tim Hortons is not Canadian anymore at all. They're owned by RBI, which is Brazilian, I believe. But yeah, it's Tim Hortons is a shell. It is a shell of its former self. Put it this way, from what I understand, when RBI bought them out, they were so into penny pinching that they went into the offices, and anyone that had like a little mini fridge or anything was told to take them home because we're not paying for the power for that anymore. So, but yeah, I will try to remember. It's probably covered in rust, so I got to clean the rust off of it because it's been in my garage for like 4 years and it's just tool steel. But if I remember, I'll bring the injection mold down here, and I'll do a thing on it next stream. Okay, back to wiring. What was I doing? So that is for that. So I need... That is for the bed. Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, a good old Canadian boy growing up. I had fond memories of my dad taking me to Timmy's, you know, for coffee and donuts. And, well, hot chocolate, because I couldn't have coffee as a kid. But, it's just sad how far they've fallen. And now it's like, they try to have the, it used to just be coffee and donuts, and they would have soup and, like, chili. And, like, that was it. And now they have, like, whole meals. They had burgers now. Like, they had the Beyond Meat or whatever, like, fake vegetarian burgers and, like, all the other... They keep bringing out new sandwiches and stuff, and it's like, oh, we have grilled this. And I'm like... You know, you go to the window and it's like, I want a, you know, medium double. And they're like, oh, do you want to try our grilled wrap? And I'm like, do you guys have a grill? Oh, no, we don't have a grill. Well, how is it a grilled wrap if you don't have a grill? It's frozen and it's microwaved. It ain't a grilled wrap. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but Timmy's is gone. Whereas McDonald's coffee is good. So... Yeah, how the mighty have fallen. Oh, they mess up orders all the time. Like, the Timmy's by my house, I swear, when I was going there, you know, I used to go there every day before work. And every like the employee turnover was just ridiculous. Like half the time I'd go there and be like, oh, you're new. And you're gone. Okay, board designers. Pick a screw terminal type and stick with it. I don't want to be swapping between, flathead and Phillips constantly. Did I lose my flathead? No, there it is. We do not have Dunkin' Donuts up here. When I was a kid, there was like one Dunkin' Donuts in town, and I haven't seen a Dunkin' Donuts up here in Canada in forever. We used to have Krispy Kreme. It was a huge hubbub when they came to Canada, and then they lasted like a couple years. So we don't have Krispy Kreme up here either. Or at least nowhere near me. They might be in like some of the bigger cities. You gotta remember, we're like, what, 30-something million people spread out along a 300-kilometer wide stretch over 5,000 kilometers, so population density is kind of screwy in a lot of areas. Okay, so that's the bed. Now, I have 3 wires here. I have... Sig and ground is the thermistor, I bet. But then I also have a 5 volt. I'm assuming I don't need the 5 volt. So I just need sig and ground. Waffle House? Nope, no Waffle Houses. I haven't seen a Robin's in a long time. I think they still have some out east. Company man on Tim Hortons. Does he just rip into it? I hope he just rips into it. Because Tim Hortons is like... And the thing is, they still try to advertise as, Canadian, hockey kids growing up, But... And then they don't even do roll-up anymore. Like, roll-up is done. Is that right? Why is that? That's gotta be SIG. Yeah, that's gotta be right. Why is that such a big connector? Okay. Yeah, SIG and ground is the end stop. Yeah, it's weird though, because the SIG is like a big beefy 20 gauge wire, and ground is like, yeah, that's ground. That's like a 6 or like a 24 gauge. Yeah, I watched the video he did on Harley. Okay, let's go back to Joel. Let's go with a CR10 update. Wait for that to load. That's like, again, a problem with the X5450. A&W. Okay, Brian, are you in the States? Or are you in Canada? Winnipeg. Okay, yeah. Then I agree with you. Their coffee is bad. It's not horrible, but it's honestly the same kind of coffee you would get at like a convenience store. It's convenience store coffee. It's not great. But fun fact for Americans out there, and Canadians if you don't know, A&W in Canada and A&W in the United States are 2 wholly independent companies. They are not, they are completely not connected. They were at one point, but then they kind of like broke up, and now they're completely 2 wholly independent companies. And while their coffee does suck, I will say A&W does have good burgers. I like their burgers. Okay, so let's see. Like, it's not looking bad. The verticals are good. Don't get me wrong. The verticals look pretty good on that, okay? What's with that overhead? What's with that blob there? I don't know. I still don't trust it. I still don't trust that belt. I don't know. Team burger, onion rings, and a root beer. Yeah, and the best is, well, you can't do it now because Rona, but you would go into the store and you get a root beer and you get the giant frosty mug of root beer and it's so good. Or you get the float. They have a really good float. For props, if you're making like you really want to get your what is it, Final Fantasy VII cosplay done, and you want an 8-foot Buster Sword, I could see a belted printer making sense there. But again, it has to be something that can be printed on a belted printer. It has to conform to the standards of a belted printer, or the limitations of a belted printer. I don't like the color of these wires. That's why I keep double checking. Okay, so now I have a 5-volt. I don't think I have to hook the 5-volt up to anything. I think it's just for the LED. So I might plug it into something just so it has 5 volts, but I don't think I need to use the 5-volt. Let me pull up the SKR Mini 1.2. Making me want to drive to A&W. I made burgers tonight. So the tip for burgers, okay? Cold hamburger, you don't put anything in it, okay? You make your patty, or you do smash burgers, whatever. All you do is put on top salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, and then you cook them on a grill. You don't put stuff in the meat. It ruins the texture. Don't need no stinking LEDs. But I want to use the LED. I need the blinking light. So now I'm trying to find where I can steal a 5-volt from. Where is your pinout? Oh, there we go. Yeah, but I need the end stop connectors. There we go. Okay. So, 5-volt. Do I have one in the NeoPixel? Because I'm not going to be using the NeoPixel. Yeah, the end stops don't even have 5-volt. They have, there's pins. Okay, so 5-volt. Where can I find a 5-volt? TFT display. I can't use that 5-volt on the TFT because I need that for the, Hey, look, I'm up top now. I need that 5-volt because I'm going to be connecting my, Raspberry Pi through the TFT, so the NeoPixel header 5-volt, or SP1. You know what? I'll use SP1 because I don't think I'm going to be using SP1 at all. So yeah, so I'll plug it into the SP1 there for 5-volt. Yeah, I'm going to use SP1. Because what is SP1 even used for? I don't even know what the SP1 is used for. It's a holdover from the CR10 board. Oh, okay, that would make sense. Yeah, because again, these boards are designed to drop right into like an Ender 3. So yeah, I will steal the 5-volt from that. Well, I mangle this DuPont connector. There we go. So that would be the 5 volt is on the outside. I always lose my tweezers. I bought 4 of those E3 dip 1.1s a few weeks back for $9. I have one. Yeah. Like, I have one of these guys. I actually was going to use this guy in here originally, before Banggood sent me the other E3 V2, which, because this guy was originally in my Zero, okay? And then Banggood said they wanted me to do a review on something, so they contacted me because I'm a big YouTuber. So they sent me an E3 V2. So I did the video on that. I put it in my V0. So if you would like to buy an E3D or what is it, an SKR E3 Mini V2, there should be a link below for an affiliate if you want to buy it from Banggood. I get a kickback. Yay. But anyway, so that freed this guy up. Because originally I was going to use this guy in here. But the problem with this guy is it doesn't have a bed MOSFET. So I bought a bed MOSFET. And it turns out they're chonky. Like, that's the bed MOSFET. So I was like, oh my god, that thing's massive. So I was actually going to use a ramps in here. Because then I would have to, like that's massive. I think these are meant for, like, big, you know, CR10 beds and shit. But yeah, so I have this, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with this now, because I don't know. I might strap it on the back of my tool head and use it as a tool head board. I don't know. Yes, it's a Big Tree Tech one. Yeah, it's a BTT one. I do have 2208s I could put on here if I really wanted to, and I could use it for something. It's an SKR Mini V1.1. It's just I don't really think I need it for anything. Like if I build another printer, I might use it, but it's very limited on hookups. Like that's kind of. I wish board manufacturers weren't so stingy when it came to things like fan hookups and whatnot. Like for example, like this is the 1.2 version of this board. It only has one CNC fan hookup. They fixed that in the V2 and it has 2 CNC fan hookups. But so many 3D printer boards only have like one CNC fan hookup. Now, if the board has 2, you know, that really doesn't stay on too well. Now, if the board has 2 hookups for the my knife. I'm going on a tangent. If the board has 2 hookups for hot ends, you can use, and you're only running one hot end, you can use the second hot end MOSFET for controlling a fan. So you can have, you know, 2 CNC fans, right? That's how everyone did it on, like the SKR 1.3, I believe. But a small board like this, honestly, every board should have 3 fan hookups. You should have a fan hookup for your part fan, a fan hookup for your heatsink fan, and you should have a part fan for your controller fan, if you're running a controller fan. So, the Physek S6 2.0, yeah, those are apparently pretty good. The only Physek board I have is the Duet 2. I have in 26 here. At least 4 fans, but you know, I'm afraid you gotta have a control line. Yeah, like there is enough pins available on all these MCUs now to do that. They just don't. They don't do it. They just don't have it. Like on the Taco Raven, how many fans do we have on that? We had like 4 controllable fans on the Taco Raven, or 5, I think. Like we went way overboard on Taco Raven because it's like we have all these pinouts. Why not just use them? It's only like another 10 cents for the circuit you needed. So yeah, we kind of went overboard with Taco Raven. Okay, so that is there. I need a Z-end stop. I don't have a Z-end stop on this. How am I going to do a Z-end stop on this? I got an X, I got Y. I don't have a Z-end stop. I did not. how am I going to do a Z-end stop on this? Let me bring this to the middle here. Okay. Let me clean up here. It's kind of sad the MOSFET designs don't do both the hot end and the bed externally. You know, I'm fine with them being on the board, as long as they're spec'd correctly. Like the the V2 of this board has a much bigger MOSFET for the bed, but the setup I have right now, they're the same size, but the bed on this is only 60 watts, so I'm not too worried. Like I'm not opposed to integrated drivers or integrated MOSFETs. I like all-in-one solutions for boards. Yeah, you know, there's, with it being external or like, you know, step 6, if you short one, you can replace it easily. But I honestly prefer the all-in-one that's not clean, but an all-in-one clean look. Okay, so now we gotta, you know, I gotta actually CAD something up here. So this is what we currently got, okay? I don't have a Z end stop on here because the design for this guy calls for having a BL touch in this tool head. And there is room in there for a BL touch. I don't know how, but there is. Thing is, I don't like BL touches. I have a BL touch. It's a legit BL touch, but I don't want to use it because it's such a small bed. I'm just going to I could strap a PL08 on it. Nah, I'd have to redesign the tool head. I could though. Yeah, I don't have enough. I could put a PL08 on it. Because the PL08, I believe, does have enough sense distance to probe off of these beds. I could do that. Oh, I could do that. Oh, if I put that there. Okay, I gotta be careful moving the motors now because I got actual power hooked up to everything. Oh, that would work. Oh. So. Okay, I'm not going to use this one because I'm pretty sure I shorted this one out. Or actually, no, this one's still okay, I believe. So what I'm thinking, if I take a PL08, strap it right there, I might have enough sense distance to ping off that board, that bed. Do I do that? Because the only other option I have is literally just use a, you know, a generic micro switch, which honestly that's what I planned on doing. And I was going to design a bracket for it. I just actually completely forgot to. Let me see here. Where are my switches? Back to main camera. Hey, main camera. Yeah, because let's see here. Okay, goodie bag. So I got tons of micro switches here. I got my BL Touch, but I do have, that's PL05. That's a dead. Why do I still have it if it's dead? That's an 05. Anyone want some DRVs or A4988s? Or light sensors? Or 5-volt servos? Or, jeez, I have so much random crap in here. Yeah, I think that it's the only PL08 I have left over. See, the thing is, I'm worried about. You know what? Which one has one? That's got an 05. That's got an 05. Tallboy. Tallboy has an 08. It's got a flex plate on it. The flex plate, it'll pick up off the flex plate. Yeah, the 5 will work. You know what, though? I'm going to use the 8 just for the extra sense distance. Okay, so how it works with sense distance, okay? Off of steel, it's how far away it'll sense. So a PL05 will be 5 millimeters and 8 is 8 millimeters. The thing is, off an aluminum bed, the aluminum is nowhere near as ferrous. So the sense distance is shorter. Okay, so originally we spec PL08 back in the day when we were, just PI on a Mic 6 bed, because you would make sure you have enough sense distance because it would trigger at like 5 millimeters or 4 millimeters sometimes. Plus you have the thickness of your PI. But once we started moving to flex plates and steel, it would ping off the steel much easier, so you were getting closer to the range. Now the thing is, the accuracy of an 05 is more accurate than an 08 because the distance between the pulses or pings or whatever the waveform, it's the same number of waves. It's just on the 5 it's closer together than the 8. Okay, if you can just visualize it like that. So the 5 is more accurate than the 8 because the wave is tighter or whatever. Somebody explained it to me a while ago. So yeah, so you know what? How am I going to attach this though? You know what? I have a screw right there. So if I put that there, oh my God, that'll work. That will work. I think that'll work. So I need to remove this screw. I'm only going to have one screw because I'm literally just, accuracy or percent of probing distance, yeah. Science. Okay, so I take the screw out and then I get the same screw. So it's an M316 plus 10 mil. No, plus, what, 12? I don't think I have a 20. I have a 25. Do I have 25? I do have 25. Oh, if this works, I'm going to laugh. I am so going to laugh if this works. So, oh my God, this will work. I have enough clearance, this will work. Oh, I'm laughing. Oh my God, that works. Now, let's see. Oh my God, that kind of works. So I literally just took a screw out of the side and just kind of screwed it into position onto the... You know what? I can take this whole side off, I think. I'm going to take the side off and do this properly. And by properly, I mean I'm going to have to put a screw on the other side of that. Holy hell, that works. That works. Okay. Oh my god, this works. Why is the Voron so loud though? Is it shaking the panels? Yes, I refoamed one of the panels. And it's not as tight as it used to be. So it's kind of vibrating. Plus I have a Raspberry Pi just kind of sitting on top of it for my camera. So, like, I got the stuff just sitting on it that's vibrating. Actually, no. Yeah, so you know what? This will work for temporary. If this works, I'll actually go through and do it properly. I'm not going to spend the time to faff about if this doesn't work. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna need some wiring now to extend this. Do I have wire? Oh, I do. I do have spare wire. There we go. Okay. So I microfit. Yeah, this printer is so bodge. You gotta remember, Kizoa, this is also running, it's running with a Duet, which is older drivers, and it also has 2208s in spread cycle mode. And my rails are due for greasing because this machine has like 15,000 hours on it. So, it's just the machine is well used, put it that way. Plus, I'm pretty sure it is the front panel. Let's see here. Yeah, it's the front panel. Yeah, because the front panel, when I put the gasket on it, it's like compressed over the years of putting it on and off, so the gasket doesn't like squeeze as tight against, so it just kind of vibrates and acts like a bass drum. Still rocking the light bar. Yep. So this is how you put light on it. You just go buy an $8 shop light and you just kind of let it sit on top of your printer. Where are my microfits at? So this uses the female side. Right here. Buy a handful of sensors. Just buy the good ones. I have some. I think it's the Panasonic's ones or the whatever on the way. I'm gonna be swapping out because I use the PL08s in all of mine right now, or PL05s, but I got some of the actual legit good ones on their way. Because this guy's starting to have issues because the probe is just ancient in it. And I think it's starting to die on me. Are these tinned? Oh, whatever. Yes, always have spare parts. I have literally, like, this guy is built out of spare parts. The only things I've had to buy on it were, like, an extra motor or two and the bed. Everything else is, like, just stuff I had. Because honestly, I'd rather, you know, when you buy stuff, you know, when it says, oh, you need 50 screws, buy 100. If you need, you know, 8 rails, buy 9. It's good just to have extras, because if something breaks, it's a lot easier to just swap a part right then and there than it is to, you know, wait 3 to 6 weeks for the slow boat from China. Like that box that you see me pull those parts out of, I keep a full set of Voron parts in a box at all times, just in case I need to swap a part. Like technically V224 behind me here, or 26, this guy right here, not a single part on that is actually spec other than the red fan cover there and the Y bridge. Everything else on here is technically either beta 2.4 parts that have been redesigned, so my A and B are completely outdated. My tool head is the old original first revision afterburner. Same with the XY joints. I don't think we changed the front idler. The front idlers might be current spec. My upper idlers are completely old spec, and my Z is 2.2 beta Z. So, like nothing on, the only Voron I have that is actually current rev spec are like the V0, the switch wire, and Tallboy. Tallboy is the only spec V2 I have. But this guy is the guy that is the prototype test on stuff printer. So. But it still prints fine. So if it ain't broke. Okay, so come on. I hate when I get a bent pin in there. What time is it anyways? Oh, 10:20. Why aren't you connecting? Come on. There we go. Okay. So, now I gotta run this through this up to here. That ain't working. Okay, so do I undo all the spiral wrap or do I just zip tie it in? I'm just going to zip tie it in because why not? Do I have anywhere to attach this here? No. So I'm just going to zip tie that. Yes, I needed 20 F695ZZ, so I got 60. F695, F623, F625, F608, 688, more bearings, pillow block bearings, missed pulleys, 42, 22, 22, 16 tooth, all screws. Here you want some LM10? Oh, here we go. LM12 you use. LM6s, if you want to build a beta switch wire or V0 back when we used rods, there you go. Honestly, having stock is great. Like when it came to switch wire, I think I only had to buy like 2 different sets of screws. I just had enough left over. It's nice having stock. Okay, so you're gonna go there. Zip Tying wires to wires. If we were to run an hour meter, what would you feed it from? Like an hour meter in terms of just clocking how long the printer's been active. I believe there's add-ons or plugins for Octoprint. I don't think we have anything for Mainsail that would do that though. But in terms of like if you wanted to actually just monitor the Hotend itself, yeah, you would have to plug it into something like the Hotend. I'm gonna have to solder in a. I'm gonna have to solder in a diode here, aren't I? There we go. Okay, so now I need to do some soldering. Don't need these anymore. I am going to need a BAT 85 diode. I'm hoping this isn't a fried peel and wait. I think it's a good one. I'm pretty sure ages ago I actually legit fried one. I wired it in backwards. Oh, my phone is exploding. Oh, apparently I'm live on YouTube right now. Okay, I'm gonna have to go through that later. All the notifications. So I'm also going to have to pull a 24 volt from somewhere. Where can I pull a 24 volt from? Oh, it's going to be 12 volt. Yeah, it's a good thing I'm going with the 8. Also, for those that don't know, if you feed them less than, the more volts you feed them, the more accurate probes are. So if it's a 12 volt, it won't be as accurate as a 24 volt for the inductive probes. And where? I'm going to have to pull a 24 volt or 12 volt from somewhere. Now, I got the fan. I could pull it from the fan. Actually, a question here. For those that... I have two inputs here for the bed, okay? I got a power in here and a power in here. These two should be connected, right? I believe these two should be connected. So if I feed the 12 volt I need for the probe into one of these and then my power input to the other, I should be getting 12 volt out of the other side, right? I believe so. I believe that's how it works, because if they're both in, they should connect, right? Yeah, those two are, yeah, so I'll use that for my, there we go, that'll work. So I'm going to have to strip a lot of wire here and hopefully not screw it up. Oh, this is going to be fun, because I got to... Yeah, those two are directly connected, yeah. I figured, that's what I figured, they'd have to be. Okay. Trying to pull the sleeving off without actually cutting the wires underneath. I always end up nicking them. There we go. There we go. So black is SIG. Brown is what I need for. And then blue is 0 volts. So downloads. I'm just going to pull up because I just want to make sure I'm wiring it up correctly. So I'm pulling up the V2 manual just to make sure that I'm wiring in the probe correctly. Oh, we're at the eyes. Sweet. So much support. All the support. So, come down here. Yeah, so there's the probe. So, power supply is brown. Blue is ground? Yeah. And then black is the SIG, which goes in, gets the bat 85. Okay. So that guy can go there. And that might be my ferrules. So, just want to run something by here, guys, just because got about 50 people watching. I have the option of having channel memberships. Now, I have no idea, and I've had the option for a couple months now, actually. If I were to turn that on, just gauging interest here, what kind of stuff would you want to see that would be like worthwhile if you were to actually if had a membership? Because I was actually looking on turning it on and just having it set for just whatever. So if you wanted to throw me 10 cents a month, go ahead. But it demands that I have set values, which I kind of don't want to do because I don't want to be tied to doing content. Because again, this is just a hobby of mine. But it would allow me to, put more into the channel and projects. So just throwing it out there, if I were to have a membership tier or whatever, what would you guys like to see that basically be? Yes, the bat 85 is needed so that the probe doesn't go sparky spark. Because without it, you're feeding quite a bit into the probe and it will go sparky spark. And that's not good. And actually, shoot, I'm going to have to redo that because I can't have that on there. I got to pull more of the sleeving off. So do memberships outside of YouTube. Well, that's the thing. I don't want to set up a Patreon or anything like that because again, this is straight up a hobby for me. I don't want to be kind of forced to have to produce more. Honestly, I'm probably not going to do it. That's probably why I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. This isn't my job, right? I have a full-time job with health benefits. I am not a YouTuber by trade. So yeah, I probably honestly won't do it because honestly, I was thinking of just turning it on. I wish I could do it this way, where I could just set it for whatever, and then what I would do is, at the end of the stream, you know how I normally just clean up and leave the stream running and shoot the shit? I would just turn that into the membership half-hour thing, where, hey, if you're a member, you can hang around while I clean up and we can just shoot the shit after a stream. Like, that's honestly all I wanted to do. But the way YouTube has it set up, I have to set tiers with fixed amounts. And I honestly I don't want to force people to pay a certain amount. I'd rather just be like, hey, whoever wants to throw a penny in, we can hang out after the stream for a little bit. But I can't do that, so I don't think I'm going to do it. But it would allow, like, me to have, you know, emojis or something. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, members would get videos early or whatever, but honestly, I only do about one video a week at most. So I don't want to, like, and they're just instructional videos, right? Like, I'm doing the Mobius 4 video tomorrow night, and I don't want to deny people that knowledge for an extra week, right? Honestly, I'm probably not going to turn it on, just for the fact that I don't want to force people to pay an X amount. Like, honestly, if you want to donate to the channel, you just donate during the stream. Honestly, I'm just going to keep it like that. Okay, so that goes there. So now I got to put that into... Is that end stop? And the ground. Actually, I got to check that. Because ground's got to be ground. Okay. Oh, no, wrong one. I need the crappy JSTs. Personally enjoy watching you building stuff. The format you are using to present the stuff suits me well. Maybe for additional content, could pick random Voron mods and build them. Yeah, honestly, like, again, right now, this is a hobby, and I'm just hoping the hobby pays for itself. That's it. Technically, I'm still in the hole, actually, after tonight's stream, which thank you all for being so generous. I might actually be breaking even, finally, when it comes to stuff I bought for stream. And for videos, actually kind of breaking even. So I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, because honestly, this is fun. I'm not stressed out. I'm not worried about it. If I want to take a weekend off, I take a weekend off. So I think I'm just going to keep it going like this. And I thank you all for watching, because honestly, I was doing this all before. I just didn't have a webcam on. So now, instead of talking with myself, I'm talking at a computer screen. It's much more socially acceptable. If you're afraid of spiders, look away. This is your one warning. That scared the ever-loving Jesus out of me. It's that time of the year they all come inside, and this room's in the basement, and I have a bunch of bushes right outside this window. No, I was doing the wiring, and I just see it move right out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, now YouTube's going to censor me. Now I'm never going to be Spider-Man. Kizilla, did you see the spider before I reacted? Did you see the spider before I reacted? If you did... Yeah, that was a big guy. We get those a lot. They actually don't really bite. They won't attack you, but they kill other bugs, so... Oh. Well, yeah, it's footage, man. It's all about content and footage, right? It's all about that. Okay, board guys. So I'm assuming the ground... now, for end stops, it doesn't matter. But the ground has to be the ground, and I'm assuming the what is this? PC2 would be the one that gets the BAT85 one. So ground is towards that side. Yeah. Oop. Got a little distracted there. I didn't crimp it. You saw the spider first? Ooh. Thanks for the heads up. I did not see the chat before I saw the spider, so that was interesting. Okay, so now I got to solder on. So, got to do some soldering here. So what the BAT85 diode is we're feeding the probe 12 volts or 24 volts, whatever your power supply is, and you need to set that voltage down, which you do with the BAT85 diode, before feeding it into the board. Otherwise, you let the magic blue smoke out and sparky sparks and printer no print no more. So what we use is we use the BAT85 diode to basically blow off the extra voltage from that. So what you do is you just solder it in line with the wire, and then you feed it in. So where did I put it? Oh, there it is. So I'm gonna have to get my soldering iron out here, and I'm gonna need the soldering iron as well when we go to attach the power connector. Do I have a power cord? Yes, I do. What's a bonsai? A bonsai, okay, so it's a design off Thingiverse, and it shows. But it's basically just a really small, scaled down i3 style printer. Nothing too fancy. I might have a link for it below, I can't remember. But it's just a simple i3 style printer. And I'm building it out of spare parts that I have kicking around, simply so that I have a entry-level printer so I can do instructional videos on how to print ABS on basic entry-level printers, because trying to do that on a Voron is absolute overkill. So, plus I've built 2 Vorons in a row on stream, and I want to do something just a little bit different. Where did my helping hands go? Chat, can you see my helping hands? Oh, there we go. My webcam mount for my V0s. And I don't even think it's tall enough. Crud. There we go. I really need to get the actual proper helping hands. Pay more attention to chat the next time you dab before you see a scorpion. Well, I live in southern Canada, so there's no scorpions here, luckily. So I don't really have to worry about that. Like, literally the worst we have are spiders. And geese. So when it comes to wiring in the BAT85, you do have to make sure that you have the orientation correct, and then you can do that by checking the black band on the BAT85 diode. So first thing we're going to do is tin our wire. Always tin your wires first. And then they basically will just stick together once you heat them up and you touch them to each other. And that's it. Actually, let me put the other camera on so you can see what I'm doing. Scorpion's got plenty sent him your way. I really shouldn't have cut that little piece of metal over a power supply, but it landed not on the power supply, so we're okay. Now I need a black wire. Kilo cubit, $75 for better helping hands like quad hands. I will go on Amazon right after the stream and buy them, man. Thank you, appreciate it. I was gonna get the ones with the like the flexi hands or whatever. That's hot. Problem is, I did the rookie mistake where you buy something because I'm only going to use it a couple times. I don't need to spend a lot of money. I'm just going to buy the cheap one, and then next thing you know, you've been using the cheap one for 2 years, and it's getting annoying. You know what would be epic? An IDEX Voron. So Appletini iBake. One thing a lot of people don't know is there is a actually pretty large Chinese Voron community. We don't see them because they're in China, and due to the Great Firewall, they can't really interact outside of China with us on Discord or Reddit. However, some crazy guy over in China has built an IDEX Voron. I've seen pictures of it and a video of it working, and it's actually pretty baller. It's definitely complicated and over-engineered, but it's an IDEX Voron. You do lose y-axis though, obviously. So, but yes, there is an IDEX Voron. It's in China, and it's some guy designed it. The Chinese community is over there. They build some awesome looking printers. Like, they are not afraid to have fun with colors. Like, they've done some crazy stuff, and you know what? Props to them. So if you happen to look one day and there's like an extra 400 Voron serials, it's because the Chinese finally figured out how to get serials. Okay, I gotta fix this one up. This one's crappy. There we go. Yeah, crud. There we go. Good enough. Good enough. Get some silicone. You know what? I used to, and then I took them off, and I can't remember why I took them off, but I used to. Because that does kind of mangle the wires out a bit. Okay, I didn't drop anything in the power supply. Good. So, what you do after that is you get yourself some shrink wrap, and you just shrink wrap it. Where'd I put my heat gun? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I'll explain after I finish with the heat gun what a serial is. Okay, so what a serial is basically when you build a Voron, any of them, you post to the subreddit, hey, I built a Voron, and you get a little fancy serial. That's basically all it is. It's just like a, and they're issued in order of completion. So, for example, V226. So this was the 26th V2 built. My V0 is V0 number 3. My switch wire is switch wire 2. And Tallboy is V2 579, I believe. So there's like 550 serials between my first V2 and my second V2. Although it's funny because if I had finished V2 at the rate I was going when I started building it, it would have almost qualified for serial like 100 or 200. I can't remember which one. But yeah. Okay, so that goes there. So now I gotta put another one on here. Drop the screwdriver. Yeah, so for IDEX on a Core XY, you basically have to add another belt and motor to the gantry. So it does make everything a heck of a lot bulkier and more complicated. It's not exactly a simple addition. It's not like, you know, if you had like a traditional, you know, if I were to add another motor, basically for this guy, I would just put another tool head on it, have another Y motor on the opposite side, and just have the belts each run their own independent tool heads. So it's a lot easier to do IDEX on a printer such as this, like on a quote-unquote Cartesian printer. Okay, so that goes there. That guy goes there. Okay, so now this guy is technically wired up. Technically. So, let me, for the camera, we are wired up. So we have our rat's nest on the controller there. And there's all our wires. So the only thing we don't have connected is our Raspberry Pi, which I would print the mount for it, but the only printer I have loaded with ABS, and you know, honestly, PLA wouldn't hurt. But anyways, I got to print them out for the Raspberry Pi. Figure out where I'm going to put it. I'm probably just going to stick it right up top there. And power supply, which the power supply, I am going to use an LRS 15012. I'm hoping 150 watts is enough for this. I'm pretty sure I have a 30 watt heater for the hot end, and then the bed is a 60 watt. So I should be okay, I believe. I don't think it'll be an issue. So I think we'll be okay there. I'll be able to actually do a mesh probe on this guy. Yeah, I'll be able to do a mesh probe on this guy. But what I'm going to do is I got these, I think these are, yeah, XT60s. I'm not going to be pulling 60 amps here. But I'm going to use this for, yeah, this only goes up to 12 amps. So I'm going to use this to connect that to that, and this is going to be separate, and I'm going to have to print a box for having a one of these guys for an input. Because I was going to attach this somewhere, but I literally don't know where I'm going to put this, because I would have to put it like there. I don't have anywhere to put this on the printer itself, unfortunately. So this guy is probably just going to sit to the side. This printer is not going to get a lot of use. Like, legit, I'm going to use this printer to print the parts I need to do my tutorial videos on how to print ABS on a entry-level printer. And we're pretty much, after that, it's going to be relegated to instructional videos only. So it's not going to be a workhorse. So I'm not too concerned about, super longevity. Oh, okay, I missed one. Canadi Dog 44. Sending you this before I spend all of my monies on a switch wire. Thanks for doing these streams. Use this on your computer to keep your journey of tempting other YouTubers to build Vorons going. I will, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck on your build. The switch wire is actually a very satisfying build because it's so simple. And it's unique. It's a Cora XZ printer. And to my knowledge, I don't think there's any you can buy. And in terms of, rep-rap, do-it-yourself builds, it's probably the only one that's even remotely popular. So, yeah, you're going to enjoy the build. It's a fun build. Andre, that's a neat little printer. Oui, c'est un petit printer. I don't know what printer is in French. Mon français n'est pas très bien. Je parle juste un petit peu de français, pas beaucoup. Under the bed looks empty. Should be a clean setup. Well, the problem with under the bed is, can I flip it? Yeah, I'll go this way so I don't crush anything. So the problem I have with under the bed is it looks empty, but I have the bearings for the bed itself, and there really isn't enough clearance. You know what? If I stuck some plastic, rubber foot things on here, I might have enough room to mount this guy. Ooh. There we go. It wedges right in there. I would have to mount it there is really not a lot of room. And honestly, I'm just gonna, yeah, the bed carriage is printed. I'm just gonna have it sit beside it, I think. Again, this isn't gonna be a workhorse printer. Dude, your French is not bad. I went to a French school until grade 5, I think? Grade 5? Grade 4 or 5, I can't remember. And I went to a French immersion school. So for those who don't know, in Canada we have 2 official languages. We have a whole province of special people that only speak French. Well, that's their main language. But technically all schools in Canada have to offer French. You have to do a French class up till a certain age. And then for those that want it, we have French immersion schools for those outside of Quebec, where it's all French, right? So I used to go to one of those schools, and then it turns out my brother and sister sucked at French or something, and my parents moved me out. So I can speak it like a French person, well, a Quebecois, but unfortunately I haven't used it in so long, I've lost the vast majority of it. J'aime beaucoup poutine, une petite pamplemousse à la bibliothèque. I don't know. I can speak it, but I can't remember what all the words are. It's like grade 8 or grade 9, I think. It depends what province you're into, because all different provinces have different education systems. Oh yeah, and then for those that don't know, it's 11 o'clock now, which means the build portion of the stream is over while I clean up, open floor for the rest of the night until everything kind of dies down. I'm kind of hungry, and we call it there. So open floor. Hey, English scripts are abysmal. Didn't know you guys had to get. Yeah, outside of Quebec, we have to omelette du fromage. Omelette du fromage. Oh, actually, I gotta fix the mount. Almost lost my mic there. Lucky enough to have twice the amount of English course. I remember watching that show. Honestly, because of Dexter's Lab, I pronounce it laboratory because of that show. And they're bringing back Animaniacs for those that don't know. Baguette. Okay, let's we haven't checked up. Oh, hey, it's finished. Let's check on the Benchy. See, he's got almost 2,000 people. Why don't I have 2,000 people? Tell your friends. Come on, guys. Okay, so the Benchy honestly doesn't look too bad. It was printing really slow, but it doesn't look that bad, honestly. But yeah, you can see the issues it has on the back there with it being quote-unquote unsupported. Yeah. So that's not a bad Benchy off that thing, honestly, but you can definitely see where it has the issues right there. Like you can see the front looks really clean, which would make sense because that's almost like printing on the top. But you can see anything that's kind of like right there, you can see there's issues there. You can see there's issues there. So anything that would be on the back end of the print would have an issue. So it doesn't look like a bad Benchy, but you can definitely see where there's downsides to the belted design of the printer. So I will say though, the front is really clean, but that would make sense because it's on a 45 and that is basically now printing top. Because you have to remember the layers on this printer are like this, right? They're on a 45 diagonal. Or it's like, is it like that? Yeah, it would be like this, right? So everything's printed like this. So you would have issues on items like there, like you can see where there would be issues. Right up there, you can see there. So it doesn't look bad, but you have to now take into account whenever you're designing an object, what that... Get out of view, Mike. So now you have to take into account when you're designing an object, either a cosmetic item, like a Benchy, or structural items, like printers. Is this item designed to be printed on a traditional Z or a belted Z now? So you have to now take that into account when you're designing stuff for printing, because I guarantee you, if you try to print Voron parts on a belted printer with a 45 like that, you're going to run into issues. Yeah. So that's just something now everyone's going to have to take into account. It's because he has 500,000 subs, and honestly, this is his job. Good on him. It makes sense. Like I got nothing against people that make a living on YouTube. It's just you need to have that base, and as someone who's entry to YouTube level, which I think I'm coming up on 4,000 subs, which yay, I could see the difficulty in why YouTubers do the things they do now, after seeing how the algorithm works and whatnot. You often say Quarks Y is not good for extra large printers, so what would you recommend? I would recommend going Cartesian. If you wanted to build, like say you were going to print, meter long Benchies, right? So you wanted, a meter by half meter printer. What you're going to do is you're literally just going to have 2 X motors, and you're going to move a gantry back and forth, and you're going to have a motor on one side of the gantry moving your Y. I would still move the bed in the Z, or raise the gantry if you want to get really fancy. but I would go with a square framed printer and just have the X and Y be independent, because now you're not running the reason for bad Core XY not scaling large is because you have belts that have to run. Switch wire's not plugged in. Let me grab switch wire because it has a Core XY gantry on it, but it's Core XZ. So you can go on the ground. Okay. So on a Core XY, this is basically a Core XY gantry, just vertical. Your belt starts here. It goes to the XY joint, goes down to the motor, comes up, over, down to the tool head. And then the other belt goes to the XY joint, down to the motor, up, around, down, that. So anytime you get bigger, your belts also get longer and longer and longer. And they do get absurdly long on the larger sizes. And when they start getting longer and longer and longer, you have more slack you got to deal with. They're springier, they're bouncier, they'll start to stretch more. When the belts, are like this, they'll behave different than when it's, halfway up, because there's different tension on it and whatnot. So Core XY is great because it's small, or it's great because it's fast. Like you use Core XY because it's a very fast motion system, and it's balanced and allows you to do certain things really good. But once you go so big that you lose the advantages of Core XY, there's no point in going Core XY. So, what extruders do you have on the switch wire? I have Jetpacks. They probably will be swapped out for Mobius 4s at some point. Does YouTube have a RAID function like Twitch when one ends? I don't think it does that. I don't have a Twitch. Like, I have Twitch because I watch a few Twitch streamers, but I don't stream on Twitch at all. Voron belted bread printer when? Belted bread printer. Yes, a bread. With COVID, everyone baking bread. We're gonna have a bread printer. I'll touch back on that in a minute. Vinicius. Ivan Miranda. So you can build big Core XY, but I don't see the advantage of Core XY once you go that big. You lose the advantages of it, so there are better motion systems for larger printers. A life-size Benchy is a tugboat. Fast Canadian, what letter is Z? They will answer with a Z or a Z. It depends where they live at, okay? Honestly, I say Z because I'm playing on the Canadian. But I switch between the two. Now, here's the funny thing. The vast majority of Canadians live within 300 kilometers of the U.S. border. Most of us grow up watching American TV. You don't get that, hey, buddy, how you doing, buddy? Canadian accent from South Park unless you go really far north or out to the Maritimes. So the vast majority of Americans, honestly, or Canadians, sound pretty much like American. Like, I live in South Detroit, technically. And if you look at a map, you can figure out where I live. So I've insulted Americans when I've been down in the southern states because I've mentioned I'm Canadian. And they expect flappy-headed Canadian accent from South Park, not guy who sounds like he lives 30 minutes from the Detroit border. So. What motion system would you suggest for 508 millimeter bed? It's weird size, but that's what I would do. I would do Cartesian, square frame, Z bed. But yeah, back to belt printers. So if I was running a factory, okay, or a production line of printers, for some whatever reason, I am now in charge of Prusa, okay, and I'm in charge of their production facility. What I would do is pretty much exactly what they're doing with flex plates. But what I would do is, I like my Vorons, so I would V2s or V1s or switch wires, whatever, but it would be a printer. And what I would have is simply an automated system where you have your bed, and this works best on a fixed bed, so a V2, for example. And what I would have is basically an arm with a square on the end, okay? And what that happens is when the print's done, it lifts up and it surrounds your bed, and it lifts up, and my flex plate would overhang the bed, and it would literally just pop the flex plate off. It would move it over. It would put the flex plate on a pedestal. It would grab an empty flex plate. It would bring it over, and it would drop the flex plate on the printer. So it could be a forked item, and you would have, On the flex plates, you just have tubes or something on the side that I could just grab it, pop it off, put it aside, grab another one, put it on. And if you look at a CNC machine, a lot of CNC machines have pallet changers on it. And that's kind of what it does, is where you have a magazine of pallets, empty pallets, and you just have a robot arm that just grabs a pallet, swaps it. Okay? So that's how CNC machines do changes, because a lot of CNC machines now, because of efficiency reasons, they run lights out all the time. So you would have a CNC machine, we have one at work that has a 20,000 pound capacity, and it has a magazine of 6 beds that rotate, and it'll just switch out when it's done. So what I would do is you would have a central location where you have a robot arm. You get one of those Cuba arms or whatever they're called, okay? And then I would have printer, and then above the printer there would be an empty space where the bed would go, and you would basically have cylinders where when a print is done, it would just grab the bed off the flex plate, put it on like a belt that would feed it out of the, and you can enclose the whole thing, just a big enclosed room, and then it would just put a new one on, and it would just start the program again. That's what I would do if I wanted to have lights out continuous printing. Because then you would just have one guy that would sit there, and the plate would come through when it's done, and he would flex it, the parts would put off, and then he would just put it in the magazine, ready to be pulled back out and put on another printer when it needed a fresh flex plate. That's what I would do if I had to run a print farm, and I wanted to be lights out automated with minimal human interaction. That's what I would do. So I would have fixed bed printers with flex plates that are just swapped by a machine. That's what I would do. But that's not something that's out of the realm of the average home gamer, right? But the problem is, like, the CR30 is kind of looking for a market when there's much better things at higher price points. And the entry level is, again, you're fighting against guys with $200 enders. So, well, yeah, you could have a, the problem with the flex plate, though, is it really depends on the object. Like, with the good flex plates and good plastics, and if you've got your settings right, you flex it once and everything pops off. But every now and then you have that one part that you do have to kind of go in there and just, spatula it off or whatever. So you could just have one guy there that just sits there all day and just pops off parts. But you would have extra flex plates so that there will always be ones in the magazine ready to throw on a printer, right? Because, a printer prints for 10 hours. It's not like it's, quick turnaround time. But yeah, there are ways of doing it. But who doesn't want a picture of name? You know what? What she does is what she does, and she's good at it. So I don't fault her at all. Like she knows more about printers than probably the vast majority of people who are into 3D printers. So I give her credit for what she does. But yeah, the same guy would be in charge of filament changing. Like you still need people. Like when you were like in the shop I work at, we have machines that run lights out, but they still have an operator because you still need somebody to program it and whatnot. So there's always still somebody kind of there. But this way it takes a lot of the work out, and you can definitely streamline things. KiloCube, if no filament changes, have a filament making machine feed straight in. Well, the problem is the rate that some printers will eat up filament is quicker than some machines can make filament. But yeah, it would just be better to have 10 kilogram spools. Pretty much, Brian. And nobody get into anything more detailed than that. I really don't like moderating this because I know people have opinions of her and her appearance, and she's free to do whatever she wants. So, yeah. I mean, I wear a snazzy apron. Come on, man, it's the future. It's 2020. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so what time is it? I think in another 5-10 minutes we'll close up. We're having a good chat here. But yeah, that's my thing on belt printers. I see them as more of a niche, where there will be some places where there is an advantage to it, but I don't see it as the next stage in the evolution of home 3D printing. It's kind of like how E3D was super hyping up their tool changer, and they brought it out, and everyone thought it was awesome, and it is awesome, but then it's 2,400 pounds, it's overly engineered, it's super complicated, and honestly, the vast majority of people that print benchies all day or random little knickknacks so they can post it on our 3D printing for points will have zero benefit to having a tool changer. Andre, what am I printing back there? Parts of the Iron Man helmet. Like... Oh. Okay, so let's just see here. Just to put it in perspective, I'm pulling up our 3D printing, okay? So right now, this is the top post on our 3D printing right now, okay? Now, would a belted printer or tool changer benefit this print at all? Because this is currently the top post on our 3D printing. My friend asked me to print these earrings for her. I'm not sure what her obsession with wireless access points are, but lately she really seems to like them. Don't change our 3D printing, don't change. Yeah. I saw one recently on a Prusa Mini where there's a tape belt on. Yes, so the thing with a belted printer is unless you tilt the gantry on a 45, you cannot continuously print with it. It basically becomes at that point just a tool change, where or a bed change, or a pallet change if you want, whatever terminology you want to use. So yeah, so I technically would prefer pallet changing, where you would just swap out the flex plate on the bed, which would be easy because you would just get flex plates that are wider than your bed, and you would just have, you know, a Kuka arm with the two prongs that would just come in underneath, pop it off, put it over, put it on a conveyor belt that feeds it out to some guy making minimum wage who pops the parts off, and then it would just grab another one, put it in, rehomes, prints, and off it goes. Because you can keep the bed hot, and the flex plate is so thin it'll suck that heat up and heat up the temperature relatively quickly. So you can keep your beds continuously hot. With the gantry, you could, you know, like, I don't need to rehome. I've been printing for a week. I haven't re-mesh leveled or redone my Z tramming in a week. So it's been continuously good for a week. So you only really need to home once, and then it could just sit there and continuously go all day, all night, and just continuously print. Oh yeah, the snapping off support video. Let me pull that up for those. See, this is why you should subscribe to my Twitter. I'm only like 20 years late. It's our 3DP Nero. Now, I don't know how Twitter works, but I told it was Nero space 3DP is what I want my channel to be called, or whatever the account. And then it gives me the handle at 3DP Nero, but whatever. I don't know. Okay, I hate YouTube's video feature, but and I eyeballed these settings in Cura. Those came off so clean. Very nice. You know, okay, let me. Do you know of anyone who has tried tuning a V2.4 on its front and putting the bed there, essentially turning it into a Core X Z with a sliding gantry and a fixed bed? That... What? Put it on its front. You could do that, but basically at that point your Y is now 4 motors moving instead of 1. Like the Core XY, the XY motion works because it's light and fast and you have two motors. If you were to turn it on its front, yes, technically, honestly, I could take this printer, turn it on its front, take the tool head, tilt it 90 degrees, right? Yeah, 90 degrees, and then put a bed here, and it would print, and it would work, okay? But then I would have 4 Y motors, which kind of is massively overkill and makes no point. And then if I move the Y motors to where the Z is, then I just basically have the exact same printer I have now. Yeah, Paul, I normally don't print with supports either, but the way this helmet is designed, there's a lot of parts that, you know, like this, where was that part? Yeah. Like this is the part right here that I had to pop the support off of. Like there's really absolutely no way to print this without support. Like you probably, if you really wanted to, you probably could print it like that and hope to God that this bridge is right. But you want to kind of print it like this so you minimize layer lines because it's a cosmetic item, right? You're printing this for looks. Like I already have like knit lines that I have to sand and whatnot. So I don't know all my settings, but it's the Voron profile on Cura, 0.1 millimeter Z offset and a 0.7 millimeter XY offset, I believe is what I use. Normally I don't use tree supports. I'm using tree supports now, but it really depends on what I'm printing. So right now I'm hoping. Yeah, that came out really good. Here guys, we're gonna go on an adventure. Hold on. Hi, I'm unplugging the camera. So, I'm at the end of my HDMI cable. But those eyes are printed on support. And that came out clean. It's kind of hard to see because I got lighting and it's reflecting off the, I gotta clean the glass, it's a little dirty. But yeah. This is the bits. All the random stuff. I still have the box my Taco Raven came in. And then this is the pile of all the random printer parts and electronics and whatnot. If I get to 5,000 subs, I'll do a video tour of the room or something. I don't know. I gotta remember to plug the camera back in before it dies. There we go. Yeah, the camera just sits on a tripod. So I think we're gonna call it there. Let's see here. Yeah, I got 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. If anyone has any super life-altering questions they need answered, let me know. This has been a good stream. You guys have been very generous, so I'll keep the floor open a little bit. Yeah, it's so originally these I'm running out of room. Okay. With this room because I pretty much have like this with my arms out is all the free room I have. My closet's full of stuff. I got the shelf here. Originally this room was my reloading room. I used to be into I used to do IPSC and USPSA competitions. So this bench is built hardcore as a reloading bench and it's bolted to the floor, bolted to the wall. It doesn't move. So this is my workbench. The printers would be great on here because nothing moves, but unfortunately this is my workbench. So I have the bench there, and then I got a little stool, or not a stool, like a little shelf on the ground that switch wire sits on, or the tall boy sits on, but I can't print on it because it's so wobbly. So I literally can only, I have to put it on the ground if I'm printing with it. So I'm running out of room to put these printers. This guy literally has nowhere to go. When it prints, it's gonna print on here, but I'm gonna have to like put it on the ground or something when I'm not using it because I am running out of room for printers. But yeah, this is, you know, I only have one kid, so spare bedroom in the basement is a hidey hole now. Thoughts on using PTFE wire instead of silicone? If you can get the PTFE wire, use it. It lasts longer than the silicone wire. Unfortunately, the silicone wire is too soft on the casing of it, and in the drag chains, it does kind of wear out after a while. Mine's still holding up because I greased the hell out of mine with super lube, so it's all nice and slippery. I wish I had a workplace. I do all shit in my living room. My wife is going to throw me out soon. Yeah, this is the one room I got. Unfortunately, it's right below the bedroom, so I can't be too loud at night. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Good ABS filament. Let's see, one thing I noticed when watching Eddie's print with the Y splitter and color bleeding, mixing, making a third color. What do you think about possibly an RGB setup and filaments? So there is a tool head. I can't remember what company was doing it, but it was basically an Ender 3 with a fancy tool head. But it had 4 filaments feeding in, and it was a mixing tool head. The problem is mixing works with like pellets and whatnot, okay? But the problem with a mixing tool head, at least with filament, is filament in 3D printing is not only just the material, it's your control for extrusion, okay? So you have to feed the filament in to control. The problem is, if you really wanted mixing, you would have to feed in continuously different amounts, and they would have to melt and merge together at the same time when you're like changing the amount that each one feeds in. And it just becomes too much of an engineering nightmare trying to develop a feed system where they can kind of mix and still be able to control the extrusion rate. So there is one out there, but the thing is, you're kind of like, the reason it's mixing is because there's leftover melted plastic in the melt zone. Okay, so it's kind of hard to actively or accurately control that melt rate because you have to feed it through till it melts and then pull out that one filament, put it in another color until you get the right mix of the color. But then if you keep putting in that other color, it's going to turn to that other color, so you're gonna have to pull that out, put the other one in to kind of re-dilute it, and yeah. I don't know how the crane does it, but yeah, it's not a home gamer type setup. If you consider getting a wire shelving unit with some plywood on top in each shelf, the ceiling's high enough, you should be able to fit a couple. Like I do have shelving here for like components, but it's for the printers because the problem is, okay, each one of these, like this guy's 40 pounds, Tall Boy's like 50 pounds, switch wire is probably like 30 to 40 pounds. The only light printer I have is the V0 and this guy, and these things get pretty heavy fast. Like even this guy. Let's see here. I don't even think my kitchen scale has enough units, grams, pounds, ounces, kilograms. So, just balancing it. It is 3.9 kilograms. Just this little guy with a bunch of random wires strapped to it. So, printers get heavy. And the only thing is, I wouldn't want them all in a rack because I wouldn't want them. Now, I don't run them all at the same time. But the issue is you would have harmonics interfering with each other. So I'd be worried about, if one's running and then another one's running, the vibrations running into each other. Mixing hot ends, run both extruders at 50. I'm not sure. I've never played with a mixing hot end. I've never really looked into them. So it's not, I can't really comment too much on it. Okay. But I think with that, I am going to end it tonight. It's 11:30. It's getting late. I'm going to go have a drink and a little snack. But I hope you all had a great night. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Next week, I'll probably have this. I'm gonna try and work on it a little bit off stream, and hopefully we can get to the point where we're pushing plastic next week with this little guy. So again, thank you all for spending your evening with me. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. We're all learning together here. Be safe out there. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. For you Americans, go vote. I don't care who. Just go vote. You should do it. And Halloween's almost coming, guys. So, we're all going to be stuck inside. Have a good one. Peace.